Okay, Mr. Mayor, you're live.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is our regular meeting of April 13th, Tuesday, 6 p.m. It's just after 6 p.m., so we're ready to go. Peter, will you call the, I'll call the meeting to order and you call the roll.
Councilmember Abbott,
Here.
Councilmember Del Prado,
Here.
Councilmember Hokumer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Kraft,
Here.
Mayor Corradino.
I'm here.
Quorum is present, Mr. Mayor.
All right, perfect. So with that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. So turn to your flag, wherever it may be. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, perfect. So with that, we will do a couple of things and then we'll get to our the topics of the day. So we have on the agenda number 3, the consent agenda is that consists of minutes and a bunch of resolutions. Anybody want to pull any of these resolutions on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna pull item number 3, please.
Okay, we'll pull item number 3, and that's the appointment of the board of directors of the Friends of Pinecrest Gardens. We can pull that. Anybody else?
I'd like to pull item 1, which is tab 2 about Flagler Grove Park, please.
Okay, and we'll pull item 2 for Flagler Grove Park. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, do we have a, Guido, Mitch, do we do, does anybody wants to speak on the consent agenda? This is the time to do that, the public?
Yes.
So Guido, is there anybody in the waiting room for the consent agenda? All right, seeing no, we'll open it and then close the public hearing. And we'll ask for a motion on the consent agenda except for tabs 2 and 3.
I'll move.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the consent agenda passes. Let's go then to,
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, who
Yes.
was the second on that motion?
I think it was Katie.
Katie.
Okay, thank you very much. So you're on the board appointment for the Friends of Pinecrest Gardens.
No, let's go to tab 2, which is the, we'll take them in order, or do you want to,
Up to you, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, let's do them in order. Flagler Grove Park.
Okay, this is just real quick. We had a resident reach out who was really concerned after his daughter's soccer game at the park with the current situation of the dust flying and the girls running around and they couldn't breathe. So I just wanted to make sure everyone who was listening was aware that we are in the process of putting turf there. That's it.
Point.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize, I came in a little late. Tab 6, I need to just make a correction to that if you want to pull it.
Too late now, but how do we handle that, Mitch?
You move to reconsider.
All right, we're off to a start. All right, who wants to move to reconsider the whole
I'll move
consent
to
agenda?
reconsider,
Or tab 6?
I'll
We'll
second.
reconsider tab 6. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that's good. So tab 6 has been pulled.
It should be, instead of
Hold on.
entering into an agreement, it should be to
on.
negotiate an agreement.
Hold on. Let's go to tab. Did we clear up tab? Did we vote on tab 2?
No, sir.
I'll
No, okay.
move to, I'll move tab 2.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, let's move to tab 3. That motion passes. So with tab 3,
Okay. Tab 3 is,
Guido, you want to read that one?
Yes, sir. It's a resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, approving the Board of Directors appointments for the Friends of Pinecrest Gardens, Inc., providing for an effective date.
Okay, Ms. Del Prado.
I just want to recuse myself from voting on that one because Skip Pita, my husband and law partner, is nominated to serve as a volunteer for the Friends of Pinecrest Gardens, and obviously I'm not going to vote on that. So, thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody have any comments, questions or comments on this one?
I move to approve.
Welcome aboard.
All right, we have a motion, Abbott, and second Hokumer. All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? None. All right, Yossi,
Tab 6
tab 6.
should read Resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, authorizing the village manager to negotiate an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates. So I still have to negotiate with them. They're the first ranked. And I will be coming back at the next meeting once we've had a number with a proposal to award.
Perfect. All right. Anybody else? Any comments on that? All right, we've got that. We have a motion. Uh-oh, it's
I'll
going
move.
down.
I'll second.
We got a motion. We've got a motion in a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. That concludes our consent agenda. Let's go to the special presentations, but Councilmember Kraft asked that we move the Special Olympics grant into the presentations and do that, and then we'll do the Youth Advisory Council. If that's okay with Councilmember Abbott, we'll do that. So
That's fine.
Guido, can you do whatever your magic is to let the Special Olympians into the room?
So, yes, sir. So Lindsay Smith from Special Olympics is going to be joining you, and she has a few guests that will also be making presentations. It'll just take me a moment to make sure they're all in the meeting with you.
So Joe,
Yes, sir.
I asked them to come before the board and request $5,000 for the Dade County Special Olympics out of our council fund. Thank you to Dr. Tilton at Palmetto High, and Lindsay Harris, our director. They have a couple athletes that want to say something. They've taken a pretty big hit in COVID this year, so they're great people running this organization, and I let them speak for themselves. So they'll do a good job.
Okay, let's do it. Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Great, thank you. And thank you, Mayor Corradino and Vice Mayor Kraft, council members, for inviting us to attend your meeting tonight and to share information about Special Olympics Florida and our impact in Miami-Dade County and the village of Pinecrest. Special Olympics Florida is a holistic organization providing year-round sports training and competition, health services, leadership development, and inclusive programming. In Miami-Dade County, we now serve over 6,800 athletes, offering year-round sports training and competition in 17 sports ranging from softball, basketball, and soccer to stand-up paddle, gymnastics, and golf. In a typical year, we host over 40 local county competitions. Our athletes have the opportunity to advance to area, state, national, and world games, and I'm thrilled to share that Special Olympics Florida won the bid to host the 2022 USA Games in Orlando. Special Olympics serves both children and adults. Our young athletes benefit from early intervention while their parents and family members are introduced to a supportive environment at a crucial time in their lives when the fear of the unknown is the most powerful. Adolescents and teenagers are provided with an avenue to test their limits and achieve their personal best, while their families quickly learn that a diagnosis or label they were given does not mean that they need to put their dreams aside. And our adult athletes are forever supported by a community that steps in when all other social services provided throughout their younger years begin to evaporate. At that point, Special Olympics truly becomes their extended family. Our athlete leadership program builds self-advocates, helping our athletes to develop the confidence to take on leadership roles within and outside our organization. And I'm proud to share that in the United States, 52% of Special Olympics athletes are employed. Approximately half of these athletes are competitively employed alongside people without intellectual disabilities. Through Unified Sports, athletes with and without intellectual disabilities participate as partners. Our Unified Champion schools are combating bullying and promoting acceptance on middle and high school campuses, while our Special Olympics college program provides opportunities for unified sports at the collegiate level. And through Camp Shriver, our 2 summer camps in partnership with the city of Miami, we are able to provide a lifetime of memories and friendships to 150 campers annually with and without intellectual disabilities. All of our programming is offered at no cost to the athletes that we serve or their caregivers. None of this is possible without the support of our local community. Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sandra Tilton, a Special Olympics Florida coach and teacher at Palmetto Senior High School, who along with a few athletes and a unified partner will provide brief testimonials. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak. My name is Dr. Tilton, and thank you so much for allowing us to share our experiences about how Special Olympics has impacted our lives. I've been coaching Special Olympics at Miami Palmetto Senior High for the past 7 years, and I really enjoy seeing the joy on athletes' faces when they learn a new skill and are able to apply that in a game setting. They get excited and they, cheer on their own team, and they also cheer on the others in the competitions. The athletes train very hard to become eligible to become compete area in games. For some athletes, it's their first is just out of this world. Another wonderful aspect about Special Olympics program at Miami Palmetto Senior High is our unified champion school club, where our athletes and our unified
She froze.
Hilton, yeah.
There
So
she is.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
Whoops, let's see. There we go. Just putting that, there we go. Okay, so our Unified Champion School Club, where our athletes and our unified partners work together to promote inclusion on our school campus, and through unified sports have an opportunity to train and compete on the same teams. This interaction with the unified partners is awesome to watch. The partners help our athletes learn and grow in their sport, as well as gain self-confidence. The unified partners coach, encourage, and talk with the athletes and make them feel a part of the student body. Now I'd like to introduce a few athletes and one of our amazing unified partners that would like to share with you their stories. So I'd like to have Benisa, then Justin, and then Sophia and Jalen to go. Thank you so much for your opportunity to speak to you tonight.
So hi, my name is Benisa. I'm 19 years old. I've been with Special Olympics 8 years, and I am doing right now rhythmic gymnastics, and I'm in level 3. I'm participating in hoop, hubs, ribbons, and much more. And I'm also doing basketball, soccer skills, and I'm also the master of bocce. I've been bocce for 3 years, and I'm also I've been for the final competition for bocce in the Keys, and I'm very proud to being in the Special Olympics athletes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Benisa.
That's great. I'm a big fan of bocce myself, so I'd like to take you on one day.
There is unified sports, Joe.
Is there?
Oh, all right. Here I go.
your unified partner.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Moulton, and I'm 18 years old, and I've been in Special Olympics for like 13 years, and like for I've been doing bocce since middle school, and now here I am in high school doing like volleyball, basketball on 5-on-5 and much more. And I've been helping out with my athletes with the sports and stuff, and like this is like a dream to me, like becoming a sportsman and helping out some of my friends of playing basketball and volleyball and much more. Doing teamwork as a man, helping out with everybody that I love, and like exercising. And I've been doing like track and field for many years, and I've been doing great on it, and it's going pretty good on it. And now here I am earning some ribbons and rewards and money, much more in sports and Special Olympics with the teachers and stuff. So, and I guess it was perfect for me to do, as my techniques to do it right and easy for this one. So yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Justin.
Who's up next?
Okay, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
My name is Sophia. I like to do gymnastics. My favorite event is the bars. I like to play basketball and volleyball too. I like camp drivers. They have lots of sports. We also like to dance and singing. The the counselors are friendly and give good advice. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome. Good work.
Thank
Great work.
you.
Sandra, anybody up next?
So we have one more. Jalen
Hey,
Hernandez is our unified partner that's going to speak tonight.
Hello. Hi, I'm Jalen. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Just wanted to throw that out there. Alrighty. Good evening. I would like to thank Vice Mayor Crafts for inviting us here along tonight with Mayor and council members for sharing time from this meeting. I have some exciting experiences that I'd like to share with you. My name is Jalen Hernandez, and I am a senior at Miami Palmetto Senior High School and a Special Olympics Unified partner. I was first introduced to the Special Olympics in 2018 when I spent a summer at Camp Shriver. Camp Shriver is a unified sports camp hosted by the city of Miami in partnership with the Special Olympics. Prior to that summer, I had limited interaction with those around me that had special needs, despite my school having its own special needs program. For 6 weeks, I had the opportunity to get to know and develop friendships with 100 campers with and without intellectual disabilities. We went on many adventures, varying from water parks to sailing the beaches of Miami. And can't forget the numerous sports we played. Camp Shriver lit a fire in me that I did not want to put out when the summer ended. I learned that Palmetto Senior High School had a class dedicated to students with intellectual disabilities, and through the camp director, I was introduced to Miss Dr. Tilton. My intention was to volunteer in the classroom occasionally and get to meet my peers, but Dr. Tilton invited me to join their unified sports teams. Special Olympics Unified Sports combines athletes with and without intellectual disabilities with the goal that through sports, we will build respect, acceptance, and friendship. And it worked. I joined the unified volleyball team and got to know many of Dr. Tilton's students, not as somebody who was volunteering, but as a teammate. We trained hard and then learned that we were advancing to compete at the Special Olympics Florida State Summer Games at ESPN Worldwide of Sports. The experience of traveling as a team cemented our friendships and also allowed us to meet other great teams from Southbridge Senior High School, which we surprisingly shared a bus with. State Summer Games was an experience I will never forget and recommend that each one of you guys finds a time to somewhat attend. At opening ceremonies, as fireworks lit up the sky, I sat among a sea of people from across the state of Florida and was overwhelmed with the feeling that I was in a place where everybody was accepted, and that's exactly where I wanted to be. We played an incredible game and earned a silver medal and had the opportunity to celebrate at Disney Springs. Something I think is important to mention is that the entire experience of attending state games, including bus trips, hotel stays, meals, snacks, and uniforms were all paid by the Special Olympics Florida. For many of my peers, this was the first time they were ever away from their families, and it was incredible to witness their pride in tackling many of life skills that we often take for granted on our own. This experience was life-changing for me, and I agreed to become a unified partner, thinking it was a volunteer role that could help my peers who seemingly had so many challenges to overcome. What I learned from this weekend was how much they had to teach me and how much light they would eventually bring to my life. I wanted my peers from the general population of my school to have the same opportunities that I did. It also became important that the students from Dr. Tilton's class truly felt like they were a part of the school. This is when I became involved in the Unified Champions School Club. The club goes beyond sports and provides an opportunity for students, again, both with and without intellectual disabilities, to take on leadership roles to promote inclusion on campus and on what Special Olympics calls whole school engagement. One of our projects was to activate the Special Olympics R-word campaign on campus, asking fellow students to take a pledge to stop using the R-word and replace it with respect. This was an opportunity to educate my peers on how a word that usually is so casual can be so hurtful. It also provided a chance for my teammates to get out of their comfort zone and become self-advocates. I am part of what Special Olympics calls Generation Unified. We are making the world more inclusive for people with and without intellectual disabilities. We work together to ensure that everyone has a right to play, learn, and live together. My experiences that I shared with you tonight will forever live with me and have no doubt forever changed who I am. I truly believe that if more students were given the same experiences, we will create future leaders who are more compassionate, accepting, and inclusive. And thank you again for letting me speak tonight.
Great. Thank you very much. Good work, everybody.
Joe, I just want to say.
Yes, go ahead, Doug.
So I've been for the last 10 years with the executive committee, and it's been an honor to watch a lot of these athletes grow up. It's very sentimental to me. And Lindsay, you remember the day you walked in that door, I had a privilege of sitting on the interview board and interviewing Lindsay for the job. And thank God she did. Thank God she took the time off to come through those doors, because I knew as soon as she interviewed, that was it. She was my pick. And Dr. Tilton, for the work you're doing, unbelievable. And kids, keep striving to be your best. You will. Wonderful hearts, wonderful kids, the students that are helping in unified sports. I remember when we started that program. What a great thing. Keep up the good work, and we hope to hear from you later. Don't be strangers. And I think the mayor said he's going to join Unified, Lindsay. And then I just, because of my involvement too, like Shannon, I talked to the attorney, I'm going to recuse myself from the vote because I have quite a bit of involvement at stake anyway there. So good luck, everybody.
Thank
Great,
you so much.
wonderful. Okay, so what do we need, Mr. Attorney or Mr. Clerk, do we need a vote right now, or do you need consensus, or what do we, what's the proposal? $5,000 for the Special Olympics? Is that it, Doug?
If that's the ask, Mr. Chair, then a motion to authorize the payment of the $5,000 donation would be in order.
I move.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Abbott and then second by Ms. Del Prado. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Nope, it passes unanimously. Keep up the great work, everybody. This is it's a proud day for us to be able to help in just a small way.
For the
Mr. Mayor,
record, it
for the
passed
record, that
4
was
to 0.
5,000.
5,000. It passed 4 to 0 with Mr. Kraft recusing himself.
Yes.
Good job,
Perfect.
everybody. Fantastic.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
work.
Okay,
Okay, now,
Mr. Mayor, if you'll give me just a moment to return these folks back to the webinar. And then I believe if you're ready for the Youth Advisory Council presentation, I can start bringing in those folks in.
okay, great. Whenever you're ready, we're ready for the Youth Advisory Council.
There's 24 of them, minus 3 who can't be here. So
Oh,
council,
it's a full house.
if you're interested, you can change your view to speaker view. You might be able to see the speaker a little better just for this part if you want. I am very grateful to our village clerk for helping facilitate this. I know it's not easy.
It'll just take a moment.
No problem. Yak members who are here, please show your cute faces. It's like the Brady Bunch times 5.
Right. A lot of people.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I think I got everybody. I hope I got everybody.
All right, Miss Abbott, do you want to do the introductions and how are we
Yes.
going to get started? Let them roll.
Yes, please. Thank you. I am so proud to have our Youth Advisory Council here with us tonight. This has been a tough year for everyone and the members have worked so hard. As you all know, I oversee the amazing group with Assistant Village Clerk Priscilla Torres, who is truly my right hand, and I thank her so much and I'm so appreciative of all she does. Usually the members present to you in person. We are going to try the Zoom thing. Again, thank you for your patience. Council members, thank you so much for your continued support of the program. And I would like to now happily introduce our YAC Chair, Ana Martinez.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ana Martinez, and as Councilwoman Abbott just said, I am the chair of the Pinecrest Youth Advisory Council. So today, the YAC is here to present our progress throughout the year, what we achieved and what we plan to achieve. The COVID pandemic has greatly affected how the YAC works, from our virtual meetings to our projects. However, we have still been able to accomplish great things. The YAC has continued to create educational youth series presentations, which we have held over the months on Zoom regarding social media, organ donations, college interviews, and more. We've also made great strides with our social media and now have our own Instagram account verified. Through our social media, we spread the word about the YAC and other community events through student-made posts. In regard to the groups, the YAC has transitioned from the 4 committees that we normally have, where students work on projects, to 8 smaller groups made of 3 members. Throughout the year, these groups have been working on creating unique community service projects. I'm so excited to present the groups and have the council hear what we have done. So the first group that we'll be presenting tonight is called the Superstars.
Thank you, Anna. Good evening. Hope you guys are all doing well. My name is Anna and our group name is the Superstars. So for our project, we decided on a youth series that would focus on giving advice for starting community engagement projects. And in brainstorming our project, we knew we wanted to highlight the importance of community involvement and also involvement that starts at a young age. So we thought, who better to give this advice than other students who have already gone through it? And so that's why we decided on a youth series in which we invite high school seniors to speak about their experiences with either founding or just getting more involved with community engagement projects, and to create a space where younger students can figure out how to effectively plan and execute their big ideas, or just to get more involved into existing projects that align with their passions. And now I'll pass it over to Manuela to elaborate on the technicalities of our project.
Hello, my name is Manuela, and I'll be elaborating on some of the details of our project. Due to the ongoing pandemic, we believe that it will still be best to host our youth series on Zoom, and this will allow us to invite students who would otherwise not be able to make it. Our plan is for the students to plan a brief presentation about their projects and the process of starting these projects. And then we want to open up for questions for the audience members and be able to have an interactive discussion. Now Daniel will discuss more on the impacts of our youth series and why we believe this is such an important topic. Thank you.
Hi. So we are very excited to be putting on this event. We feel that creating a youth series that not only explains the college application process and the process of founding or getting engaged in community engagement projects is not only, this is not only a Yak sponsored event, but this really embodies the core values of what it means to be a Yak member and what the Youth Advisory Council stands for. And who better to be showcasing the wonderful work that's going on in our Pinecrest community than Youth Advisory Council members, and specifically seniors, who are able to offer advice not only to Yak members, but to the community at large. And additionally, we see this as a great opportunity for community engagement, specifically with middle school students and young high school students who are just looking to get engaged in their community and start projects and start getting out there and making our community a better place. But additionally, this also serves as a recruiting effort for future students to want to get engaged in Yak and want to further their engagement in the community through the Youth Advisory Council. And having it over Zoom just makes it all the more accessible to all students within our feeder pattern schools who live in Pinecrest or go to school in Pinecrest. And with that, I will pass it on to the next group.
And the next group is going to be the SSL.
Hi, my name is Sophia Vinueza. I'm part of SSL. One of our group members, Lucas Goldenberg, is representing Pinecrest in another way at a lacrosse game, so he won't be here today. Today, we're presenting a project involving cleaning the environment and involving the community. The project is called Pinecrest Pickup. We are doing it virtually to make sure everybody can be involved without feeling unsafe due to COVID. Speaking next is Sammy to explain the mechanics of the project.
Hi, my name is Sammy. Pinecrest Pickup will launch on Earth Day, April 22nd. We will encourage residents and visitors to pick up trash and clean up a variety of public and private locations in Pinecrest. Some of the places will include Pinecrest parks, businesses, main streets, and even people's private properties. People can do small acts of cleaning the environment, like picking up a piece of trash, or a large act like starting a garden to add more green space to our community. They would then post a picture on Instagram and put the hashtag Pinecrest Pickup and tag the Yak Instagram. Then the Yak Instagram will repost the post on their story to help spread the project. Next, Sophia will speak more about the project.
We would like to remind the residents and visitors on our social media each month on the 22nd to pick up and repost with the hashtag Pinecrest Pickup to continue promoting a cleaner environment. We would declare the 22nd of each month Pinecrest Pickup Day. Hopefully, our team effort will lead to a better environment in Pinecrest. Next, the Beach Bums will be presenting their project.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and this is my fourth and unfortunately last year on the Youth Advisory Council as a graduating senior. I'm proud to introduce our group, and our group is supporting Headcount, which is a nonpartisan organization focusing on getting young people to register to vote using something familiar to all and loved by most, which is music. Headcount recognizes the importance of our vote as young people and knows that we love to attend musical events and concerts featuring our favorite artists. We too, as Yak members, know the importance of pre-registering and registering to vote. And we know that even in years where elections aren't happening, it is still incredibly important to continue registering voters so that they're ready to go when the time comes.
Hi, I'm Eitan. The first thing we've done to support Headcount is hold a donation bingo. It's currently in progress, but we've raised a good amount of money so far to make a preliminary donation to Headcount. We will continue raising money through reaching out to our friends on Instagram for the bingo until we feel we have raised a solid amount to donate. The second thing we have done is work on setting up a t-shirt campaign on sharingware.org. It is set to go up any day now, and all the profits from the t-shirt and any other t-shirt sold on Sharingware will go to Headcount as well.
Hi, I'm Julia. The third thing we want to do is work on setting up a youth series about the importance of voting and registering to vote. But we will not rally behind any specific campaign, issue, candidate, or party. We know that almost everyone has a political opinion and can use their voice effectively if given the opportunity. Registering to vote gives them that opportunity. As young people, we have the power to change the world, and we know that exercising one of our most basic rights will help us accomplish that. As members of YAC, we know the importance of community involvement, and we also know the importance of getting involved politically, even at just the local level. That's why we chose this important cause. Thank you for listening and giving us this opportunity. And now I'd like to introduce the Children for Children.
Hi, everyone. So is it okay if we go last because Ruby's having some connectivity issues?
That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Do you remember who the next group is?
Yes, the next group is the Tireless Tigers.
Good evening. My name is Amar Sakrani, and I'm a sophomore at Senior High School.
Hello, my name is Carolina Levy, and I'm a sophomore at Lord's Academy.
Hi, my name is Lily Anakesh, and I'm a senior at Gulliver Prep.
For our YAC project here, our group decided to collect pantry goods for the Miami Rescue Mission. We believe that our drive will be to gather many goods that will greatly help the lives of many.
The Miami Rescue Mission is a big outreach center for the homeless in Miami, and they have various continuous drives, including food drives, appliances, and hygiene products.
We advertised our drive to friends and family, as well as through social media and at our schools through our poster. We're still in the process of completing our drive, so we do not have a set amount of goods that we have collected, but we expect it to make an impact on the Miami Rescue Mission. Thank you for your time, and now I would like to introduce Girl Power.
Hi everyone, my name is Cassandra and our group is called Girl Power. For the past few months, Ava, Anna, and I have been running a drive for the Lotus House Women's Shelter. The Lotus House is dedicated to improving the lives of women, youth, and children experiencing homelessness. This organization provides support, sanctuary, and education to empower them to heal and learn. Next speaking, we have Ava.
Hi, my name is Ava. We started our drive in February and have been collecting goods both virtually and in person since then. So far, we have collected items such as diapers, trash bags, pillows, soap, towels, clothing, and more. And lastly, we have Anna speaking a little bit further.
Hi, everyone. So our drive ends at the end of April, and then we plan on taking all of the donations to the Lotus House. So if anybody is interested in donating, the link to donate is on the YAC Instagram under our bio. Thank you for your time. And now I would like to introduce our next group called DAO.
Thank you. My name is Emily Ulster, and I'm a sophomore at Palmetto. Our project for the Youth Advisory Council is a COVID information project. As the pandemic continues, we thought it was important to remind people about the state of the pandemic in a concrete, non-biased way using statistics. We wanted to give the public reliable and meaningful numbers that put the pandemic in perspective. We also wanted to include vaccination stats so that our COVID updates didn't only include bad news about the pandemic. We've sourced our information from the CDC, and we source our Pinecrest statistics and updates from Mayor Corradino's weekly newsletter. Lucas Hudson will be speaking more about our project.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucas Hudson and I'm also a sophomore at Palmetto. Our COVID information project involves making bi-weekly COVID updates to post on the YAC Instagram every 2 weeks. These posts include statistics about the 7-day averages for new cases and deaths in the US and a comparison between the current 7-day average and the last one. They also include the total number of US cases, deaths, the top 5 US hotspots, and the total vaccine doses distributed and total vaccine doses administered. We also include several Pinecrest statistics, as Emily mentioned, from Mayor Corradino's newsletter, such as local hospitalizations and case positivity rates, as well as local vaccination rates. We also create updates whenever there is a change to vaccination eligibility or the possibility of one in the future, because we want to make sure that our community is up to date with the vaccine. We include the county's vaccine program registration page in many of our posts to make sure that people sign up and get vaccinated. Being that our committee has almost 400 followers on Instagram, we hope that we can educate our peers and inform them in a proactive way. Anzia Bade will be expanding more on our project.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anzia Bade, and I am a senior at Miami Palmetto Senior High. We chose social media as our platform to make our community aware through data and statistics because spreading awareness and educating people in the community is so important given the current state of affairs.
We chose to make biweekly updates because we wanted to help balance spreading awareness with overwhelming people with often disheartening information. We really want to help spread the word on the state of the pandemic in a clear and non-biased way, and we want to make sure that people stay safe and stay updated about the vaccine. This virus has had various impacts on people in their daily lives, and the importance of learning more about this virus and keeping our community educated, informed, and safe cannot be more understated. Thank you for your time. Please welcome the next team presenting, Team River Otters. Good evening, I'm Cayetana, and I wanted to thank you, Mayor Corradino and council members for listening to all of us this evening. Sadly, Robbie Mazur could not make the meeting this evening, but is representing Pinecrest in a different way at divisionals. As the River Otters, Robbie, Ariana Malig, and I have developed a project based on the importance of teen mental health awareness. As we all know, the year 2020 has tested everyone's limits. We were plagued with self-isolation and repetitive mundane tasks. As teenagers navigating through the struggles of adolescence and the stress of school, the removal of all social situations took a tremendous toll on all of our mental health. As the initiative as the Youth Advisory Council is to highlight the importance of acknowledging these struggles and forming concrete educational resources and support from the community. We initiated this process last year with our first youth series in which we invited Amy Exum, a psychotherapist at Baptist Hospital, to discuss solutions on improving our mental health as young adults. Amy's interactive talks focused mainly on anxiety, stress management techniques, and overall mental health exercises. Youth series attendees learned not only how to effectively manage their own mental health, but techniques and activities to benefit others. We received incredible feedback from both the youth and the parental attendees. We hope to propel our efforts with the support of the Village Council. Now my friend Ariana will speak to you on STEM Weekly.
Good evening, council members. My name is Ariana Mutlau. In 2020, I developed a global youth-led initiative called STEM Weekly on Instagram. Our goal was to spread STEM education through informational posts and virtual events. Being aware of the mental health impacts of COVID-19 with the River Otters, we started a mental health tip of the week series. We post mental health facts and tips for everyone to utilize during the pandemic. Our Instagram posts, there have been an increased amount of interaction, and with those posts including a total of 17 comments on our most recent. Comments include, but not limited to, thank you for sharing. This was a really helpful tip, and even someone sharing how our tip helped them improve their mental health and shared it with their peers. This is something that we would love to see at Pinecrest. Our official statement and purpose behind the day. Council members and Mayor Corradino, as a part of our efforts in showcasing our commitment to teen mental health awareness in our community, we ask for your support in declaring an official Teen Mental Health Day in the village of Pinecrest. On this day, we hope to instill the importance of maintaining a healthy balance among all youth, adults in the community. Our purpose point, we have a few purpose points. First, we offer any day, but we would prefer October 10th because it's the National Mental Health Day Awareness Day. Second, we will like on that day every year for the Youth Advisory Council to organize an event for educational resources on mental health. Thirdly, and most importantly, to raise awareness on the issue in the community and our community schools. Thank you for your time, and I would like to introduce Children for Children now.
Hello, everyone. We figured out all our issues, so thank you for your time and patience. So good evening, Council. My name is Kate Stuzen, and I serve as the Vice Chair of YAC, as well as one of the coordinators of the Children for Children's Collection Drive Initiative. My group and I decided to collect supplies for infants at the Family Resource Center of South Florida. This organization serves over 2,500 foster children in Miami-Dade County. We collected items such as diapers and baby wipes. The drives were advertised on YAC's Instagram as well as our individual social media pages. I also made donations a point for Palmetto's Interact Club. We held a collection drive both physically and online. Our physical drive took place at the Pinecrest Community Center, while the online drive was through an Amazon wish list. Now here's Ruby with the donation statistics.
Hello, my name is Ruby Tenbrook, and I've been working with Kate on this wonderful project. We took what we collected to the Family Resource Center on April 1st, and this included 16 boxes totaling 1,310 individual diapers.
and 27 packs of baby wipes. They were thrilled with the number of donations and are ready to distribute them to the needy foster families with babies in the area. We are very pleased with the success of this initiative and the help from our school and our community. We place great value in supporting the youth in our community as we are a youth-run group. So thank you, council members, mayor, and vice mayor for your time and interest in our cause.
All right, thank you everybody, and I hope you have enjoyed our presentations. We can't wait to continue our progress and involvement in the community in the upcoming months. Once again, thank you for your time and support, and a special thank you to Priscilla and Councilwoman Abbott for helping lead us. So does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from the group? Seeing none. Katie, you got anything for him?
No, I know him well, so if anyone else has questions, go ahead.
I think you all did a great job. Thank you. We're really proud of you.
I can say it's just been such a tough year, and it's been really nice to see you guys keeping your spirits up and keeping your activities going. And despite all the obstacles and how difficult it's been to feel engaged with the world around you, the YAC has done a fantastic job, each and every one of you, in keeping the faith. And so welcome back to the real world a little bit. We see a light at the end of the tunnel, and congratulations on everything you've done. And make sure you're super nice to Councilmember Abbott, because she is the most amazing YAC leader we've ever had, and I suspect ever will have.
Oh, stop.
I second that.
Same here.
Congratulations.
Proud of you, Jack.
You guys are
All
wonderful.
right, well, thank you guys once again for all of your time and support.
And council is invited to our very last meeting of the year, which we're going to do in person safely at the Gardens. It's May 21st at 4:30, and council is welcome to join. Thanks,
Perfect.
Jack. You're amazing.
Thank you all. Good work.
Great job.
You're allowed to leave now.
Well, I'd stick around.
Oh, yeah, if you want to stick around.
See, this group's making it easy on me. They're all just popping out.
Right.
Thank
Good
you.
work.
I really appreciate it.
Good work, Katie. That's nice. That was a great group. Okay, so let's take some things out of order. Right now, we have next on the list ordinances. We've got 2 on first reading, and then, no, I'm sorry, 1 on first reading, 1 on second reading, and then we have the reports and recommendations, council manager, attorney, and clerk. But let's go to the resolutions. If nobody minds, we'll finish up the resolutions and then get back to those other things. The first resolution is tab 14, and that is the issue of our potable water project. Mr. Clerk, will you read that?
So you have, Mr. Mayor, a resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, relating to the potable water improvement project, describing the locations of the potable water improvements to be provided within the Village of Pinecrest, determining the estimated capital cost of the potable water improvement project, determining that portion of the cost of the potable water improvement project that will be paid by special assessments, establishing the method of assessing the project costs against the properties that will be benefited thereby, establishing other terms and conditions of the special assessments, directing the finance director to prepare a preliminary assessment roll, establishing a public hearing to consider imposition of the proposed special assessments and the method of their collection, directing the provision of notice, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to do tonight is kind of frame the issue with an introduction, explain what's going to happen, and then open it up to council. So tonight is going to be our first meeting to formally discuss how we would spend the COVID relief money provided by the federal government through the American Rescue Plan Act. So this is our first meeting on the subject. In the interest of a very thorough and vigorous and healthy debate, shortly after we realized that this money would be available to us, which was, I believe, after our last council meeting, we had a previous, an already scheduled workshop where we briefly discussed it, and then we put the issue out in the public in a without having done all of the numbers. We wanted to do that so that we absolutely made sure that when we had this meeting today, that people knew that this thing was being discussed. And so we've been kind of kicking this around the community for about a month. Tonight, we'll get into the discussion of the detailed proposals. Our goal is that there are no surprises and that everybody's got the opportunity to speak and meet, and so that they can form the opinion and voice the opinion that's best to them and inform us as the council. So again, one of the ideas that we're exploring is the completion of the county's water and fire hydrant system. This has been one of our primary goals in Pinecrest since incorporation. Miami-Dade County, which owns this system, it operates this system and maintains it, never installed it in much of Pinecrest. And so as we develop, we've left kind of one of the most desirable communities in the state of Florida without this basic infrastructure of drinking water and or fire protection. So over the years, we've been slowly pecking away at it. I believe that after we incorporated, it was around 2,000 homes. Now it's about 700. So fortunately, we have this once in almost a generation opportunity to finish this project. Otherwise, if we didn't take care of this, otherwise it would probably take years or decades to do it. So what's on the table is the fact that Pinecrest will receive about $8 million from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. This is essentially COVID relief money. There are very limited ways and an aggressive timeline on which this money must be spent. And I'll list the ways it can be spent. It can be spent on COVID relief for impacted industries. It can provide premium pay for frontline workers. It can replace lost government revenues, and it may be used in investment for water, sewer, and broadband projects. Any unspent monies by January 1st, 2024 will be returned to the federal government. So taken as a whole, since the COVID crisis began, we have been receiving money from the federal government at different times. The village has invested our money in COVID relief funds for rent abatement for our local businesses, hazard pay to our police. We've reimbursed much of our lost revenues during the process. And while the conversion from septic to sewer is becoming critical, that effort would take about $100 million or more dollars, and it's really only in the formative stages right now. So my opinion, I believe that of the council, as we spoke before, was to seriously consider finishing off the water project with this. For 25 years, we've been seeking grants to help complete the county's water and fire hydrant system. And what remains is about $11 million. Given the fact that we are only getting 8, if we decide to move forward with this project, the burden of filling the gap will be asked to be shared between the village and the homes that would gain access to county water. We realized in our 2019 referendum, we voted as a community overwhelmingly not to spread the cost as a tax to all of the Pinecrest citizens. So if you have access to water, meaning it's in front of your home, this is at no cost to you. It's a completely, totally a different issue. So again, the nuts and bolts of where we're going to start with this conversation is that the village would invest about $7 million of the $8 million into this water project. Miami-Dade County would contribute $500,000, and the plus or minus 700 homes gaining access to the water system would contribute about $1 a day for either 20 or 25 years. There's a lot of variables that we need to discuss, deciding on the final numbers, the cost, the contributions from the homeowners, the contributions from the village. We need to discuss the other eligible projects for this money, whether we can meet the deadlines for spending the money. And also we continue to work with Miami-Dade County to see if they will increase their contribution or at the very least provide relief for those who don't want to connect to the system at all. So I know nobody likes surprises, like I said before. So this is what's going to happen tonight. We're going to begin with a discussion on the subject as soon as I get done here by the village council. By what point in time we will comment on the proposal. We'll ask questions of the manager, we'll ask questions of the attorney, and we'll move it forward. After we complete that first round of discussions, we'll open it up for public comment. I believe we've also received numerous emails during the course of the weeks. We'll open up for the public comment. So anybody and anyone who wants to comment, voice an opinion, has already signed up, we'll do that. After we conclude the public comment, we will, the council will again figure out if it wants to advance this project. If it doesn't, it will let it go and look for something else. If it does, we'll look for a motion to pass this resolution and agree upon a contribution from the village and the citizens. If it passes, what will happen next is that the village will go out and notify all of the affected homes that would be asked to contribute to this. and we would have a first reading on that subject and that contribution based on the past resolution in May, and potentially the second reading in June. So tonight, we're going to open it with a council discussion, talk to our staff, public comment, go back to the council discussion, see if we get a resolution. So at that, I'm going to open up to the village council and see if anybody wants to start this conversation. Who's up? Oh man, it's quiet. All right, anybody got a, go ahead, Anna.
So I'm just questioning how you want to proceed. You want us to discuss and then have public comment? You want to do public comment and then have us discuss?
No, what I want to do is, if there are any questions that we have as the village council, this is the first time we've had the opportunity to discuss the proposal that was put in the staff report. I'll let the manager talk in a second. We'll discuss it. We'll ask the manager questions if we have any questions. Once we're concluded that initial discussion, we've got our thoughts out there. We will move to a public comment, and then we'll bring it back and see if we can't get a motion and move forward. Yossi, do you want to go?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have in the packet, there have been some corrections to the record that I'd like the village clerk to share with council, and also, I guess, post a link through the chat to the folks that are going to join us for discussion. But in essence, the engineers verified the numbers that are going to be made part proposal of for these special assessment properties, and it went from what we thought was 687 properties or parcels to 703. So because we've added parcels, those parcels that were added were in the permitting process with Miami-Dade Water and Sewer, but have yet to actually build the infrastructure, so they weren't caught in the first go around when we submitted the list and as part of the agenda. So the numbers actually look a little better than what's in the agenda, with what's called an ERU, the equivalent residential unit, which now is set at 357.95 if the council goes with a 25-year scenario. Yes. Mayor, can I go ahead and vet questions from the council members that are raising their hands?
Yes, please. Okay, I'm sorry. Katie, you've got your hand raised. Please ask your question.
So with the additional properties, does that change the scope of the project and therefore the cost of the project?
It doesn't change the scope of the project. It just spreads the amount that we have to borrow over a larger amount of properties. So in essence, what that did for the purposes of the setting of the equivalent residential unit, it improved the number. In other words, it lowered the number to $357.95 per year for 25 years. And that was assuming that we would borrow 3.9 million.
Shannon, you had a question? I'm sorry, Katie, you want to follow up then, Shannon? I apologize.
I was just going to ask, how does it affect the prepayment number? Do we know that yet?
$10 less.
The prepayment number is going to be improved a little bit, and I'll have Vita Quinn, who's on the call, crunch a little bit of numbers and give us that if she can. She's the one that has the magic Excel spreadsheet that with all the plug and chug opportunities. So
Shannon?
My question was, in addition to providing water access to 703 homes, this project also encompasses how many fire hydrants, or how many homes will now be serviced in addition to those that were already serviced with fire hydrants?
Yeah, my recollection serves me right. There was 99 fire hydrants that were part of this project.
Okay.
Hi, Vita.
Hi. Sorry, it took me a second on the larger Zoom call. I can give you that number.
You can?
Yes, just give me I'm looking it up right now. So the EAU is 357.95. The assessment, the one-time prepayment then on that one would be $5,540.
Thank you.
And again, the scenario that we're discussing now was set aside and put this way based on discussion that council had at the strategic planning workshop. That implies that the village would put in 7 million into the mix. 500 would then be matched by the county out of the 2004 GOB bond. And then the balance of the project would be passed along to the special assessment properties.
Okay.
So
But
that
you'll see-
discussion, if you recall, we were trying to get it to something close to $1 a day. So this actually betters that.
See, I'm getting a lot of comments about trying to spread the money around. What other projects could we do with this that we could accomplish quickly?
So the projects that we can do from an infrastructure standpoint, sewer wise, I mean, I had pitched bringing sewers to the parks, especially to Pinecrest Gardens complex as a potential project. Even though those projects are not already shovel ready, the only shovel ready project we had was the water project in particular. Everything else we would have to go through design if we were going to try to venture into infrastructure like sewer infrastructure. We have, as you mentioned, there's a small business, the ability to do assistance to household or small businesses that were impacted, by the pandemic. But that would necessitate our putting together a whole program, kind of like what we did when we did the CARES Act, where we provided $250,000 to small businesses through grants. The other opportunity, which the council, again, was to provide premium pay to eligible workers that were performing essential work. And we did that through CARES Act funding. We provided hazard pay to the police officers out of CARES Act. And then the third category provides for anything that would replace a reduction in revenue, which is where council was leaning towards, was putting money aside out of that $8 million to reimburse the village for any lost revenue as a result of the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think, Joe, just
Yes.
on that, but the sewer at the community center is tapping into the Red Road pipe. But, and the money, I mean, shovel ready, that's really shovel ready. I mean,
We would just have to design it. It's not a complicated.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have to be spent till what, 2024. So even if it takes us 6 months to design and a year to build, we're 2 years ahead of the deadline.
Right. Based on preliminary estimates that our former public works director had looked at and given me, we're looking at somewhere between 300 and 350 for that extension.
Well, I'd just like to say too that's you got to think of somebody living in a home. How many times do they flush? How many times do they use the sink? And the community center uses, how many times does that get flushed? How many times do people use the sink, the restaurants there? Or if there's an event on the weekend? That's a lot of usage for water going into our aquifer compared to the amount that's going in a single family home. For instance, the man that lives across the street from me is elderly. He probably uses minimal water. So it would take hundreds of homes of use to compare to what our community center uses in one day into the drain field. I'm not talking you bring it in and then pay 2.5 times going out. I'm talking water going into our drain field, into our aquifer.
Katie?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the issue with the sewage system is we could win mega millions and put it in Pinecrest, but Miami-Dade said they don't have the ability to process it.
We would have to obviously go through and talk to Miami-Dade Water and Sewer to make sure that they have capacity to connect Pinecrest Gardens before we pursued any design, work and stuff.
Okay. I understand that. So it's not only that we have the need to put it in Pinecrest Gardens, the county may not have the capacity to accept the line. And by the way, we are working on that project. Not only the the Pinecrest Gardens connection to the sewer, but we're beginning our work with Miami-Dade County to explore a bit, getting off, converting from septic to sewer, but it may take a while. It may take longer than this time frame that we have here. Anna, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I understand the interest in connecting Pinecrest Gardens. I believe there are issues in terms of capacity with the county. And I think it's important if lessons are to be learned from past infrastructure projects of this type, it's important to build functional, complete systems. So I would be quite hesitant to throw money after something that may or may not function or connect. In any case, even the closest guesstimate would have that connection be several $100,000. It's not a significant percentage of the dollars that are coming from the feds.
I guess what I'm learning through this discussion is that if we put $7 million to this water project, we still have $1.5 million to spread around the rest of the community. And we may have a hard time figuring out what to do with that $1.5 million. Yossi, is that correct?
It's not $1.5 million. It would be $1,050,000 based on the numbers that they're giving us. By the way, the Treasury Department will be confirming that number. I think they're going to be publishing their first guidance on all this on May 10th. So I'll have more information after that date on the specifics, but the preliminary estimates were based on 2019 census figures, and they were anticipating that the village is entitled to get $8,049,000. So if we subtract $7 million for water, that would leave the balance of that for, whatever council wants. We can, that falls into specifically those categories. We can't deviate from those 4 categories.
Well, I mean, how easy is it to find those projects? It sounds to me like it's quite difficult because we just don't have the opportunity here. We can't do sewer, we can't do broadband. Right? This may be the best project that we could do.
The water, well, the reason I had recommended the water to the council was specifically because we had been, it's been on our legislative agenda for 25 years trying to solve the water infrastructure issue. So the sewer is a longer term issue. And based on, I think, master planning and just cost estimates for the entire village was looking at, $90 million, $100 million to do the sewer.
Way over there.
So that kind of starts getting a little bit out of our reach. We can explore and ask questions to see about the sewer. You don't have to necessarily make those decisions tonight. Like I said, we have some time. We don't have to spend the money till 2024, till I think it's December 31st, 2024. So that extra $1 million that we're setting aside, once we have the guidelines from the Treasury Department, that will then give us a little bit more opportunity to kind of look for what else we could potentially spend it on.
Okay. Shannon?
So what we're saying is that they're not mutually exclusive. We could go ahead if the water project is shovel ready and we could get that rolling. And again, we have until December 2024 to spend down the fiscal recovery funds. And so we could potentially explore providing sewer to the gardens as well.
Correct. I can ask questions and get preliminary feedback from the county and then come back to council. If you all want to go ahead and move forward, we can proceed with providing, doing design for it and then proceeding with the construction.
What I'm getting at is the fact that what a lot of the comments that I receive are from people who voted against the referendum and would prefer to spread this money around the entire community. I think what we're finding is that we don't have $8 million worth of projects that would fit into the categories that we have to spend them in. And so this water project is then likely the best project, and it necessarily can't be spread around because we could never get to completing the $150 million sewer project in 2 years. And it's likely that we should get rid of this project first. So if there are no other questions, you want to open it up to the public? What's the matter, Anna?
There's a terrible echo. I think
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear.
With you has they're not muting themselves when you're speaking, and it's creating a.
Got it. I saw that painful look on your face, and I thought I said something wrong. Would you mute? He's muted. Okay. All right, Guido, you guys are ready to open it up for the public comments? All right, let her rip.
Yes, sir. I'm ready. You have approximately 17 speakers registered. I'm sorry, did the manager want to say something first?
Yeah, the manager's waving something.
Yeah, just thought of a couple things that I'm sure are going to come up in discussion. So I just want to mention it before the folks are led into the meeting. There were questions that were posed regarding the requirement to hook up once the water is built. The water lines are built if the council proceeds with this project. And I just wanted to clarify that the village was provided a 10-year variance to connect. So all the properties that did not have water back in 2009, when the village went before the Environmental Quality Control Board seeking a variance, they issued a variance to all the properties that did not have water. And so we've only built a portion of those. So the remaining folks that do not have water yet, the timeline for those properties to have to hook up would be 10 years from the moment that they get a live water line in front of their home. So the minute that water line is basically conveyed to the county, then the 10-year clock starts ticking.
And that being said, I'm sorry, go ahead, completely, go ahead.
Also, what we're finding now with, for example, the people that are already from the systems that have already been built, some folks are already getting notices that they have to hook up, and those people can go before the EQC board and ask for additional time variance. And you mentioned, I think, Mayor, earlier that we were trying to get unlimited time variance from the county that we're working. I know you've reached out to the commissioner's office already, so that may still happen, but at a minimum, we can guarantee that 10-year extension is in play for everybody.
Right, and despite the council, if it decides to work on getting an unlimited time variance for those who don't want to hook up to water, we got to remember that it's not the Village of Pinecrest water system, it's Miami-Dade counties. So as many of the emails that we get on that, it's not our decision. It's Commissioner Regalato's, it's Mayor Daniela Levine Cava's. We all need to get with them, particularly those in the community that have the issue. They need to hear because they have the power to do something or do nothing. All right, with that, Guido, you ready?
Yes, sir. Your first speaker is June Dreyer.
June, you're muted if you're trying to speak. There you go.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay,
All
very
right.
good. First of all, Mr. Mayor, we want to thank you very much for the efforts you've made in getting money from various sources to fund various projects here, including the water, and also for your kindness in meeting with 12 or 15 of us concerned citizens who do not want to hook up. And at that time, you were saying that we would not need to hook up if we didn't want to, and that we would not be charged the $1 a day for 25 years. And yet when I read the proposal that was sent around, and I'm referring specifically to Article Roman numeral 3, Arabic numeral 3.01.b on page 10, and it says the benefited tax parcels will have to hook up. And this seems to be at variance with what you were telling our group. And I just want to know what to think here. I got one of those letters from Durham today, as a matter of fact, about an hour before this meeting began, about mandatory hookup within 90 days. Can you clarify?
Yes, I'll let the manager clarify. Ms. Manager?
Yeah, the people that are getting notices today are people that have water lines already existing adjacent to their properties. And June, in your case, if you have a notice, you don't fall into the group of people that we're talking about as far as the special assessment that's coming before council for consideration right now. You would be in the group of folks that already have existing water lines that are adjacent to your property. and you've likely already passed the 10-year time frame that was provided for variances for those folks. So in your case, what you would have to do is apply through the EQCB board, and I can get your information and send you the application. And we have a person on staff at Public Works that'll work with you to put together the application to go before the EQCB board. And
been there, Jocelyn, been there, done that 2 years ago.
And
totally unhelpful. They gave me a list of places where I had to get the water tested.
Okay.
And I went to all of them in Dade County. They were useless.
Okay.
The mayor has already heard this.
June,
One
this
of
is
them
what we
turned
are.
out-
June, let's
Pardon
do
me?
this. Let's do this. Let's get a call between yourself and myself and the manager and clarify that issue. But essentially, it has that's an issue that we need to deal with Miami-Dade County, separate and apart from the subject we're talking about tonight, which is a special assessment and the building of new water lines. This is part of the old water line issue from 2008 and 9. But we can get some clarification and hook you up with the county commissioner and the county mayor and work through that. But it's really not part of this issue tonight.
Okay, but how does this relate? What does this section I referenced 3301B on page 10? This differs from what you were telling us at the meeting, I guess this past Monday. And
what were
at that point, you were aware of how many of us were near water connections. So this seems to be something new. And, hooking us up with the county commissioner is not going to touch that topic. Can you clarify what you said at the meeting?
I'll start to clarify, and then the manager will clarify. Your subject is not part of this resolution. This resolution is if new water lines were to be constructed based on this money. Your issue is relative to the water lines that were built over a decade ago. And as we discussed, what we're trying to do on this issue is we'll have the 10-year variance, which you have, and then we're working with the county commissioner and we are trying to get them, since they're not paying for this project very much, to give us a blanket variance so people in your situation in the future don't have to deal with this. So we need to separate the two issues. Your issue is the old water lines. Again, it's the county is in complete control of those issues. The people who grant the variance is the EQC board, not the Village of Pinecrest. And the people that control the EQCB board are the county commissioner and the county mayor, not the elected officials in Pinecrest. So we need to work through them so that we can fix your issue. And if we would meet on that subject, we can take care of it. Okay, thanks, June.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Guido, next.
Your next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Spicer.
Welcome, Mr. Spicer. How are you? There he is. Mr. Spicer, you're on mute.
How's that? Is that better? Is that better?
Sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you. Welcome.
Great, thank you. Can you see me well? No.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, I do have my camera on as far as I can tell. And so let's see, let me press this button, see if you can see me as well. I'd like you to be able to see me if possible. Let's take a look. If not, let me just continue. I do have several questions to ask, and I hope you take it the right way, but these are directed to getting the right information more than anything else, and making sure that we're all on the same page and talking about the same thing. I just heard, just before I got on, June ask a question about her connection. She's one of those that has a water line in front of her property, but she doesn't want to connect or is unable to for various reasons. What I don't like to hear coming from a council, if I may express a criticism, and it's not directed to any one individual, but I think it's the process. When you say to somebody, well, go over to the county commissioner or go over to the county mayor or go here. That is not the correct answer. I've tried to help some of these people. I know exactly who they need to go to. And I would expect that if some of you on the council, whether it be the mayor, the council, the manager, if you don't know, tell them you don't know. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you don't know. But anyway, I just object to that because it frustrates people and it just doesn't solve the problem. Talk about the problem now. At this particular point, it truly startles me that you hear about the money on March 15th is when the announcement comes out. And then on March 16th at the strategic council, strategic planning session, you not only have the answer, but you've got all these details. I listened in on the strategic council session. You had how much money you were going to spend. At that point, it was going to be the entire $8 million. This is the thought, and this is the plan. You were going to spend it all for water. You were going to have the balance that wasn't available paid in a certain way. You had it all figured out. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, are they brilliant? This is the smartest group I think I've ever encountered. In 24 hours, they got all the problems solved without ever notifying anyone in the community, without asking for any input from the local citizens. It's just boom, boom, boom. So here we are about to discuss it again. I ask you this question, first and foremost. How many people, because this is a moving target, I had 684 people did not have water in this phase that you're about to extend water to. Today it's 703. The number keeps changing constantly, so we don't know exactly what it is. But let me ask you this. Do you know how many of the, let's round it off to 700 just for talking purposes. How many of that 700 have indicated that they would connect to county water? Does anybody know?
No, we don't know the answer to that. No, nobody.
Well, I don't know the answer. You
We don't
plan
know
on
the answer
giving
to that.
somebody something. How could you give somebody a gift if they didn't tell you that they don't want the gift? How do you do that? How do you say, I'm going to give 700 people access to water and never ask them, do you want the water? Doesn't that make sense? All of you, I don't care who answers, but the question really
Harry,
isn't
it's not
important.
that's not an answerable question. I mean, there's a
Well,
substantial.
why isn't it an answer? You're going to
I'm sorry.
deliver a product.
Harry,
to
I'm not having a.
people. Don't you want to know if they want your product?
Yossi, we'll go back and answer that question. We don't have the answer to that question. We don't know exactly how many people would want water. Do you have any other
don't know
comments?
how many people want the water, but you're going to give it to them anyway.
I don't think council's made that decision yet, Mr. Spicer. That's what they're discussing.
Well, it sure looked like it to me at the strategic planning session. I could swear the decision was a done deal from what I heard, unless I'm misinterpreting what's going on. I'm sorry to be so specific about it and maybe a little bit offensive. I really don't want to do this, but I do see some things that trouble me, and I want to express that. Go ahead.
But I appreciate you bringing it up. This is the venue for doing it. This is our first public conversation where we brought the public in to talk about it. We just got this proposal through the manager who ran the numbers last week. But either way, okay, thank you. If you have any other comments?
Yes, there's a couple more. You also talk about fire hydrants. That's another number. Council member Hokumer at one of the sessions said, I think we need 350 fire hydrants. It's on the record. Then I see you, Mayor Corradino, say no, it's 191, and you have it in the on the council on the website, on the Pinecrest website. Today I hear another number. I see, oh, it's now 99. How many fire hydrants do we really need? And the thing is this. The thing is this. Why is it that I've heard for quite a long time that there's a serious problem of safety in the community, and yet never has anybody from the county said, I confirm that. Neither the fire chief nor the guy who runs the local fire department. Nobody has mentioned that there's a problem. I hear it. I know you say it. I hear my fellow neighbors and friends say it, but I've never seen it confirmed. So we know that there is an issue and what the issue is. Would they like more fire hydrants? This is what I've heard. Oh, we have an ability to suppress any fire at the present time. If that wasn't the case, we would take care of it or do something about it. Would we like more fire hydrants? Absolutely. It'd make our life a little bit easier. But is there a dire, serious health and safety issue? I've never seen that addressed in years that I've listened. I hear the conversation, I hear the anecdotal comments, but never any specifics. So I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. So I'm just going to summarize by just saying one thing that troubles me the most. And that is when statements are made by public officials, but they don't give the source of that information so we could verify it, whether it be we have $8 million. I would say, okay, if that is correct, where did you get that number from so that I could confirm it and either help you and say, you know what, you're really entitled to maybe 9 or 10. Or wait a minute, the 8 million figure, according to what I see, is not correct. Can we work together to solve this problem? I would like to participate. There's others in the community that would like to participate, but we can't when we're not told where the source of information is coming from. And it goes down the line, whether it be, we need 99 fire hydrants or we need 350 fire. Yeah, I mean, these numbers are tossed out like they're just cookies, here's the number. And where are you getting these numbers from? I wish that you would do one thing, just substantiate the statements that are made. And if you don't know the information, either do one of two things, get it yourself or hire a consultant to get the right information so we're all on the same page, and let's share that information. I think working together, we will most likely solve it in the best possible manner. I'll let it go from here.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Manager, will you discuss, just to clarify, I think, because all the answers can be clarified in what's in this agenda tonight. We had been given notification of the money. We talked about the broad brush strokes of what we wanted to do. And then you did your due diligence and took several weeks to do your research. And you came up with basically the information in this resolution tonight. It's over 18 pages long of details. That's, I think in a summary, how do you want to answer those questions, or do you want to just we'll be able to answer those in between meetings, or how would you deal with that?
I think for the interest of trying to answer even future questions that might be coming up from other speakers, I rather address some of the questions that Mr. Spicer posed. So firstly, we get the information regarding all the figures as far as, number of hydrants and whatnot from construction documents that have already been designed and are permitted from Miami-Dade Water and Sewer for the installation of water lines. If you would recall, nearly 2 years ago, the council approved the expenditure of $150,000 to update the construction documents for the completion of the whole water infrastructure. So civil engineers went out and designed what was necessary to complete the project. That project and those documents were the basis for a bid that was put out. Council again authorized us to issue a bid for the construction of the project because we wanted to get figures and real numbers in hand so that we could use those in lobbying efforts to try to seek financial, funding sources to help defray costs for the completion of that water project. Again, this is something that we've been working on literally for nearly 25 years. So this is not something that we're just talking about for the first time on March 16th. We've literally been talking about completing the water infrastructure. It's been our #1 legislative priority for 25 years. And so because we had already put this project out to bid and we knew what the real costs are, that's where the numbers are coming from. That's where the figures are coming from. That's where the quantities of fire hydrants are coming from. It's all in plans and construction documents that are designed and are being completed and finalized today. Literally 2 hours ago, we were still making changes and corrections because when those plans were updated in anticipation of that bid that was put out in June of last year, since then, there has been some private developers that have actually built lines. So we've been subtracting any new lines since that last iteration of plans was completed last May. And that's been the change and the tweaking that you're seeing currently. The difference between the 686 properties that were in the packet and the 703 that you're seeing today, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, are as a result of some properties that have already been permitted at the Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department, but have yet to break ground and build any facilities. So every single dime is substantiated with a publicly competitive bid that was let. And based on what happens with council, the intent is to award that bid if council proceeds before the end of June, so that we can avail ourselves of the bid prices that are only good for 1 year. If we do not meet that deadline, we will have to rebid the project, and then the numbers may change.
Great, thank you very much. Guido, next on the list.
Your next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Kyle.
Mr. Kyle, welcome. Hey, Lance, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Thanks for being here.
Okay. I got a few questions. Let me start off. Some of them are rhetorical. Some, I guess, just require some short answers. Let me start with dear Mayor and Village Council members. Here we are again after some say 15 years, others say 25 years of mud wrestling, talking about Pinecrest residents paying for a water system that primarily benefits the county and the construction lobby. I have the following comments and questions after reading the initial assessment resolution, also known as tab 14 in the backup documents. My first question is, why is the village government trying to push this project through in the next 2 months? According to section 2.01 of the resolution, the second reading is in June. Tax bills will be mailed in November 2022. It already sounds like a done deal. That's mostly rhetorical. Let me move to the second question. Why isn't the county paying for this system? I know you've heard this a million times, when they are the primary beneficiary. Section 3.01 of the resolution states that the quote village will construct the project, then ellipses, convey it to the county, close quote. There are 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. Are there any other ones that are subsidizing the county's water system like Pinecrest? Didn't 65% of the village voters tell the council in early 2019 that they didn't want village funds spent on this project? I guess my principal question there is, are there other municipalities in Dade County that are subsidizing like Pinecrest is this project?
The county doesn't have a way, and I'll let the manager chime in on this. The county doesn't have a way to supply new water lines to new customers. They require the private homeowner or developer to bring those water lines in.
Okay.
And just to add to Mr. Quile's question, yes, there are other municipalities that will be using funds to build out water and sewer projects throughout the county, and then turn over those facilities to the county.
Have we taken a comparables? I'm an ex-investment banker. I was just wondering if we've taken a comparables approach to reviewing what some of these other municipalities are doing. Have we looked at their solutions? Are those a little bit more, friendlier to, a little more frictionless than the one that's been repeatedly implemented or attempted to be implemented in Pinecrest?
This is the first time that the village is implementing the strategy of using non-village taxpayer funds to pay for infrastructure. That's always been the goal of the council, was to try to find funding from either the federal government, state government, or the county government. And we are not done trying to find additional funding. So we will continue to apply through completion if council proceeds with this project for funding at federal level, through grants that might be available, through state level, and even lobby the county to chip in more money towards the project.
But Yossi, we've always sought grants from various levels of state or federal government for this project, right? I mean, even from our earliest days. And I think we had gotten some grants, and our intention was that we would use these grants as they came in to build out this water system. Fortunately, in this point, we have $8 million by which to contribute to the system. So it's something that we had always intended to do. Even after the referendum, we were still seeking grants, and now one of them's effectively come in, and we don't have a whole lot to other projects that fit the categories to spend the money. Am I right?
Correct. Short of using the grant fundings, the county's approach to building infrastructure is to pass that cost on to the developer. But because Pinecrest is mostly developed already, really the only options available are that the homeowners either create a special taxing district and pay for the entire cost out of their own coffers, or that we find grant fundings from other sources to try to defray those costs, which is exactly what we've been able to do with this.
Yeah, and here we're doing a hybrid. Okay.
Hybrid, correct.
Hey, Lance, anything else?
Yes, just a few more. I'll try to make them short. Section 3.02 of the resolution claims there are just 684 quote unquote benefited tax parcels. Is that an accurate number? Aren't there still about 1,300 homeowners who haven't hooked up? The map and the address list on Exhibit B on page 23 of the resolution appears to underreport the actual number. I guess some citizens are probably confused about who's actually hooked up versus who's going to be benefited by this latest project. There's kind of a discrepancy between those numbers. How do we bridge that gap?
Yossi, you've got an answer for that, correct?
Correct. So the number, the updated number, Mr. Kyle, for the purposes of the special assessment district is 703 properties. The homes that you're discussing that are getting notices today are not part of the special assessment district. Those are homes that were part of a previously constructed water line that are now coming to the end of their 10-year variance. And that's why those folks are getting notices, but those folks will not be affected whatsoever by the creation of the special assessment because they already have access to water lines.
Yeah, one more question on that, Yossi. So would you say, can somebody ballpark how many people are ostensibly already have they're already within reach of the last mile of this pipeline? Is that like an additional 600 people over and above the 700 that are going to be benefited by this project?
This project will have zero impact on people that already have access to water. So this doesn't extend water, like people that have water lines already in their front, across the front of their property, but haven't connected yet. Those folks are not part of any of the discussion we're having tonight. They will not be on the list of, properties that will be part of the special assessment district. So the only properties that will be part of a special assessment district are properties that currently are on in areas that don't even have water lines coming down their street.
So just curious about that number. The people that have access but aren't hooked up, that subset is about 600 people?
I don't know what that number is, but they're not even relevant to this discussion.
Okay, here, just a couple more. Section 4.01 states that the estimated project cost is 11.4 million. 35% of the project cost, or 3.9 million, will ostensibly be covered by 684, now 703 Pinecrest taxpayers. What if there are cost overruns? Section 4.03 implies that the benefited parties could be on the hook for more than 3.9 million if there are cost overruns. A prepayment formula deducts the 7.5 million county federal contribution and appears to put the benefiteds on the hook for everything else. Am I reading that incorrectly?
No, you're correct, but we know because we've already bid the project, we have exact project costs, and in those project costs and the amounts of the estimated project costs, we have also anticipated a contingency for any project overruns. So we likely will not reach project overruns beyond the contingency that's been set aside, in which case those assessments that we're putting to will be adjusted downward.
Okay, and one more comment and a closing remark. Why isn't there more language on the special taxing district? And I don't even know if it refers to it as a special taxing district. And how do we know it will sunset in 25 years?
It's not a special taxing district. It's a special assessment district. So that it's a little bit from a legal perspective. I'll let the attorneys kind of answer that question. And
So it's not a MUD or a WCID like we have in Texas, a
No.
municipal utility district or anything like that.
No.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to introduce my partner, Lori Smith-Lala, who many of you have met before, but some of you may not have. She specializes in public finance, and she's designed this resolution and can explain how the special assessment district works.
Great. Welcome, Lori. Thank you.
Thanks. What we did, because the benefited properties are scattered all over Pinecrest, we basically made the entire city part of the special assessment district and then narrowed down what parcels would be included for the special assessment by those parcels that currently do not have water available to hook up to and would be then benefited by this project. You'll see, and Vita and a number of people have gone through the folio numbers and tax rolls, and we actually have a map that's attached to the resolution, which shows in red where the benefited parcels are, and black lines that run in front of the properties where those water lines will be constructed. So you can see visually that any of those red properties currently do not have access to water, and those are what we defined as the benefited tax parcels.
Lori, will this special assessment district be just a subdivision of the village, or will it be like a separate incorporated entity?
No, the village has the authority to special assess. We just made the entire village the district because these properties are scattered all over and we couldn't contain them in one distinct boundary area. So in order to make sure that all the properties that are going to be benefited by these new water lines, we just said everybody in the district everybody in the city is the district. But if you're currently connected to a water line, you're not being specially benefited, you are not going to be assessed.
Or if they currently have access but haven't connected, they also will not be part of this assessment district.
Exactly. So the narrow definition of benefited properties relates directly to where the water lines are going in and who would gain access to those new water lines.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Yossi. That's all I got. Mayor, I just want to say, I'm not trying to be difficult. I still think this topic needs additional discussion, even if this is just a initial assessment resolution. I think we need to wait at least another month. I think it needs a workshop or something. I'm not personally in favor of adoption or approval or passage of this resolution today. And that's all I got to say. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Lance. We appreciate your concerns. We will, like I said earlier on, I'll let Yossi speak in a second. But like I said earlier on, if we pass this resolution, it would only be to set a first reading and notify the impacted property owners. So it would carry the discussion further. If we need to, we will definitely make sure that we can meet and answer your questions in between meetings. And if we need to have a workshop to do so, when we'll have that figured out by the end of the night, the tone and tenor of the questions, then we'll do that in between the meetings because we want to make sure that everybody has been able to go over this in as great as detail as possible. Yossi, did you have something to follow up with?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, I am going to host a town hall meeting. I'll announce when before the next meeting in May. So what'll happen, assuming council proceeds, we would have to send mailed notices to the properties that will be affected by the proposed special assessment district. And in that notice, we'll provide a date when folks can attend a town hall meeting with me, and I'll sit as long as it takes to answer questions. I'll spend all day if I have to, going back, and explaining what council is thinking of doing. And then May, council would have another hearing, and then again in June. So there'll be 2 more opportunities for public input on the subject before the final votes are.
If it were to pass tonight, it would have a first reading in May. If it would have passed then, it would go on. So there's no guarantee of anything. Thanks, Lance. Guido,
Thank
who's
you, Mayor.
next?
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, sir. Good to hear from you.
Your next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Greenberg.
Hello, Mr. Greenberg. How are you?
I am great, thank you. And
Good to
thank
see
you
you.
for
You got your camera
having
to
me
work.
here tonight, and thank you all for fixing my Zoom. Thank you all for your time and your attention to this over the last couple of decades collectively. I speak enthusiastically. There was a question earlier, a comment earlier about whether the individuals who would be affected by this want it. I can speak for myself, my family, my neighbors, everybody I've talked to. I would be one of the homes that would benefit from this. And I can tell you enthusiastically that I and everybody I've talked to would welcome this opportunity. We leave it to the board, all of you, to determine the proper dollar amounts, the best way to do it, but the savings over the years would be tremendous. And I think most importantly, this would put to issue, whether it's 25 years, 15 years, or 100 years, this issue has been going on. You've put the village in the position to have a wonderful opportunity to resolve this issue once and for all. And there's really nothing I can say that you all haven't heard a million times. So to say it just briefly, this is obviously not just a convenience issue. It's a health issue. It's a safety issue. And they're real health and safety issues, obviously, when homes are without water, after storms, after power outage, even the simplest power outages. The hydrant issue you've talked about. Again, I don't need to belabor it. I think that your comments make it clear, although there are obviously many good things that this village needs to do and can do, the limited use, I won't play lawyer here because you've got a great counsel and you've got a great, you all know what you can do, but it sounds like there's not even a question of what else can be done with this money. It's very limited. So the only question is how much money there should be for it. And that's really all I have to say on it, other than to thank you all for the speed with which you're considering it. It's not a rush. This is an issue that's been going on for so long, and this is a wonderful opportunity. So I endorsed it. I know everybody who I have spoken to, and that's a lot of people, feels the same way. And we look forward to finally getting this resolved with your leadership. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you for your comments. We greatly appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Guido?
Your next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Ms. Madsen.
Hey, Allison, how are you?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good to see you.
My name is Allison Inslee Madsen. I live at 6445 Southwest 133 Drive. I have county water, so I'm not a direct beneficiary of this proposal. I wanted to let you all know how much I appreciate the council's continued efforts to solve this problem, as it is a developing country issue and not one that should continue to plague one of the premier communities in Miami. My understanding from having participated in the last round of discussions on this was that resistance was driven primarily by an unwillingness to pay for a benefit to others, and this proposal removes that barrier. I hope that council members will vote to provide water and fire protection to all who desire it. Furthermore, I look forward to putting this basic service issue behind us so that Pinecrest can move forward. 25 years is too long to be debating whether people deserve and need water. So I thank you all for continuing to find solutions to this problem, and I hope that this time it's the last big conversation we have to have.
Thank you, Allison.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker that had signed up was Blanca Cruz, but I do not see her on the call, so I'm going to skip to the next person.
Okay, we'll hold her spot.
We'll hold the spot in case she comes on. So your next speaker is Ms. Ball.
Hey, Sherry. Welcome back to the council. Chambers. You're muted.
I'm muting. Can you hear me yet?
We got you.
Okay, let's see if I can start video too.
Now we
Okay.
see you as well.
Hey, how is everybody? Good,
Doing
good, good.
great. We miss you.
I'm always here, always doing. I'm so excited that we're here tonight and we're talking about this, that we have these opportunities. And I will tell you, I still get a little nervous, so I wrote this out. So I'm gonna read it as I speak. It sort of summarizes a lot of what other people have said, but for my process, I need to set it out that way. But I just want to thank the council, this council, and all the councils prior to you for all the work that it has consistently for 25 years been a project that you've worked on. And for all those who have been paying attention, you have looked at every option. You have gone for federal grants and haven't found any. You have gone to the county water department and asked for help, and nothing came about because their response from the county when people say it's their facility is that they legally cannot do it. So I know you've worked on that. You've gone to the state and that's been turned down. And yes, we did have a referendum a couple of years ago, and we asked for our neighbors to pay additional dollars out of their pockets, and that failed. We understand that. I am so thankful that you have continued to look for other avenues, but unfortunately it hasn't happened. So as you've gotten this money, you know, the issue is what's the next step? And I do have to reflect on how we got to this and why the comments are what they are. And so, you know, forgive me for a moment, but I think we should acknowledge the past. And for that, I will tell you that, you know, for those who don't even know, who haven't lived here 30 years, in 1990s, we had the contamination by cleaners on US 1. And because of that, a water and fire hydrant project was put together. It benefited hundreds and hundreds of homes. At the time, I lived on 128th Street and 74th Avenue, and my home across from Palmetto Middle School, far from US 1, benefited from that. So it was many, many homes that benefited, and none of us paid a special assessment. None of us had a direct payment. So that project was completed. You know, fast forward to 2004, the GOB vote for the county came about, and Pinecrest is again blessed with getting funds from the county and from the state, and hundreds of homes received water lines and fire protections with no special assessment. Life goes on. The council has looked and looked and looked for alternatives. And, you know, I know they're frustrated. We all have a little angst. There are people who say, I paid for it, you have to pay for it. There are people who say, I want what you got. And it gets frustrating. But today, you know, it's so exciting that we can move past that. I mean, we can keep arguing people back and forth, but it doesn't stop the rain. And I am so thankful we have the council that we have right now, because y'all look to the future. It's not what Sherry Ball says or what my neighbor says. Y'all know the history. You just got bored with a history lesson from me, and you are looking for the future and for what we can do for future Pinecrest residents. And I'm just thankful that the prior projects and those families got those protections. And I'm thankful. I'm not jealous. I'm not envious. I'm happy that all those homes in Pinecrest received that service. But I'm really, really thankful that today we have this opportunity to provide those services to the rest of Pinecrest. And yes, we're all a little hinky about how it can be done, but we have the money now to make it less painful and to provide for the future. And the residents that are left, the 703, they understand the circumstances, and they know that they are going to have a situation where they're going to have to pay a special assessment. We've done a lot of outreach to them. They're aware of it. They understand it. They just want the service. So many of them, it was said, oh, well, have we asked how many of them are going to connect? Well, I will tell you, as Jerry Greenberg before me said, we've spoken to many, many of them, and they are ready to connect tomorrow. And I think the percentage will show that many more will connect in this project than in the prior project. It's not a competition. Those residents had a choice. They got a service. They chose not to connect. They weren't obligated to vote on it. They had a 10-year window. It's certainly a great question for Harry Spicer to ask, but I can tell him from the people we've talked to, many, many want to connect. And you have this opportunity. You have the authority. You get to dole it out. There's nothing I can say. Probably you know again what we need. And it is about the future. It is about the environmental challenges. And I may not like the solution, but it's a really reasonable solution. You guys have hit upon an opportunity that has a little bit limited applications. And you have found in this resolution a great starting point or ending point that gives the practical applications for what we can all live with and what that threshold is. And again, it's not about the Ball family or the Greenberg family or the Spicer family. It's about the future families of Pinecrest. And I'm just so thankful. I want to encourage you and support you in moving forward with this. It's a limited application and opportunity, and it is certainly a gift that we should all be very thankful for, because it's come on the back of a very, very sad year. And honoring those people with doing something so healthy for our community and for stimulating the economy with this project. I really am thankful, and I encourage you to move forward.
Thank you,
And
Sharon.
don't
We
have to-
appreciate that.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a past elected official, I don't get to stop talking. It's because I had someone who could
If
not
you
be
don't, I'm
here
gonna have
with
to
me.
cut you off.
Well, I know I asked about this because I was devastated that I would be taking my time, but there's a resident who has a very specific situation that asked me to read something, and I was told I could do so. Yeah, I know. Robert Dorfman, he lives at 6421 Southwest 109th Street since 2003. I am unfortunately not able to be at the April 13th meeting, but would like to have my voice heard. Our home is located a great distance from the nearest place to hook into the county water system. Consequently, we get our water from a well. I am concerned about the safety issues relating to utilizing well water. We had our water tested in 2016, and it turns out the well is contaminated with a chemical that was likely used in the 1970s to exterminate underground termites. That chemical seeped into the groundwater, and test results indicated that it was 20 times in excess of acceptable safe levels. The state of Florida has provided a series of filters to remove the chemicals from water used inside the home. My understanding is that the chemical can move through the groundwater and might be impacting other homes in the area. This is a hazard, not just to me, but all those who get their water from a well. In addition, I live quite a distance from the nearest fire hydrant. I have been told that if there is a fire at my home, the only water that would be available would be on the truck. So it seems completely unfair that other homes in Pinecrest have the luxury to utilize county water while many of us don't have that opportunity. The ability to secure $7 million from the American Rescue Plan Act, $500,000 from Miami-Dade County, and $3.9 paid by the property owners receiving this service in a special assessment seems to indicate that other Pinecrest residents who are presently receiving the benefit of county water will not be paying anything towards this. Seems like this is a win-win for Pinecrest residents. We should take advantage of this opportunity now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
I
am
appreciate it.
finished.
Thank you. Good to see you. Gita,
Okay.
for
All
the
right,
record,
take
she
care.
spoke for 2, so that was not 6 minutes. That was only 3 apiece.
Yes.
Right.
You're,
If anybody wants to claim 6 minutes, they don't get it. They get their 3.
Your next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Kerr.
Mr. Kerr, where are you? There you go. You're muted. Still muted. We're getting there.
How's
There
that?
you go, Mr. Kerr. How are you?
Thank
We
you.
got you. We can't see you, but we can hear you, or we can see your green box.
Okay. Just make a couple comments here, listening courtesy to a lot of long speeches. First, the assertion that you didn't listen and you assumed people wanted it. I was there back in the days when we actually met and shared germs happily at a meeting where you were packed to the gills with people, 90% of whom wanted this thing. And the first letter I got was the first question was, do you want it? And if so, here's what you do. So I don't know if it needs putting in the record, but you've been very attentive and correctly reading the people. They weren't subtle about it. You were getting hammered for not coming up with solutions when there aren't any solutions to be had. So on behalf of, I don't know how many, I'm pretty grateful. And the idea of the hydrants, I'm not a hydraulic engineer, but it seems to me, if you don't have water, you're not going to be safe in a fire. And a lot of houses burn because houses next to them or across the street burn. So in a way, there's a community involvement. Even if you have water, it doesn't protect the person who can't get to a hydrant. So I think that that's an issue that you're also on solid grounds for including in the plan. I don't know why you wouldn't. The only thing I'd add, I had some remarks I won't make in the interest of time, but one aspect hasn't been maybe fully counted. I lived a long time in Miami Beach on one of the islands, and my son went to school there. And after elementary school, he got accepted to a school in Coconut Grove, and we were going to move to be closer. And we have a lot of friends in that area. And so we just said, where should we be looking? And almost everyone said the same. No, you want to limit your search to Coconut Grove and or Coral Gables. And that's where most of them lived. And so that's what we did, except we also had seen some listings for Pinecrest properties, and it looked so superior to what we'd seen in the other neighboring areas. So we kind of badgered our realtor to show us some. And what we learned was what you already know. I mean, the lots are larger, the trees are taller, the roads are less congested, and in you guys, you have a much, much friendlier and more competent, and to your detriment tonight, more inclusive city government than you find in those other places. So my only point, I guess, is it really troubles me now being here at the address for the record, 12110 Southwest 60th Court. I think it's way superior to those that have a brother in Coral Gables and so on. And the trouble is, I went back to our friends and said, how come you only talked about Coral Gables and Pinecrest and Coconut Grove, not Pinecrest? And the point of my saying is, it came back to the water, and they have this image. We weren't even going to tell you about this backwater where they don't have well water and there's no hydrants. And of course, most people aren't in that position, but this typecast notion of Pinecrest as this backward village. So the water is not only for all the reasons you heard about, not only to repeat, but another asset, another advantage of this is there is an image and it's stereotyped, and people, I think, I don't know what harm it does us, but you do want people to have Pinecrest on the screen. It is we found we wanted to, you don't grow out in Coral Gables unless you're on the water. You move up, you have these 4- and 5-story things that look like they're fireman's platforms. And Pinecrest, it's so wonderful. And so the water, in addition to all the things you've heard about, and I'll stop talking, is to say that it will help people to understand what in fact is now true for the majority, which is that it's not a matter of well water in the absence of hydrants, but for the rest of us it now will be. I think that's very important. That'll help the property values. And I end where I started. In the event that there's a fire somewhere, it's nice to have a hydrant pretty close. And if you're kind of refusing to be connected, that you may come to regret that. So I hope on behalf of the majority, I thank you for your efforts. I think you've been wonderful in hanging in there. Most sane people would have quit 3 or 4 rejections ago. It's your credit that you haven't. And a lot of us are grateful that you haven't.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate the comments. Guido?
Mr. Mayor, the next registered speaker is Matthias Sanchez, but I do not see him on the call. So we'll go on to the next registered speaker, which is Ms. McNaughton.
Hello, Laura. How are you? You're on mute.
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. So
Good to
I'm
hear
Laura
from you.
McNaughton. I live at 13401 Southwest 74th Avenue in Pinecrest. I have a statement that I want to read and a couple of questions. Pinecrest will receive an $8 million COVID relief grant for infrastructure and broadband that the council wants to use to connect the missing county water lines for homes that are currently on a well system. Pinecrest will also receive $500,000 from the county for the construction of the lines for a grand total of $8.5 million, but only $7 million will be allocated to the water project. So my first question is, where's the extra $1.5 million, and when can we get the breakdown of those expenditures?
Yossi, do you have we've been Yossi, we've been talking about that all night, right?
Yeah, so the $7 million out of the $8,049,000 allocation from the coronavirus relief fund is what's being proposed for this project, and that would be coupled with another $500,000 that's coming from the 2004 general obligation bond that was awarded through the county commission. So the total project cost is 11.4. The 7.5 is currently being discussed to be put towards the project, with the balance then being passed on to the special assessment district. The remaining $1 million of federal funding that has not yet been allocated by council. Council's been in discussions. We just had some conversations about exploring potentially bringing sewer to Pinecrest Gardens, so I'll get pricing for that. There's also been discussion during strategic planning workshop that we use that additional $1 million to potentially reimburse the village for lost revenues. We're just waiting on Department of Treasury guidelines that are supposed to come out for May 10th. We're supposed to get additional direction. So at that point, we'll have a better idea, and then we'll talk to council on regroup with regards to the use of that $1 million that's still left over.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
Yossi,
appreciate
as I
that.
look at it, Yossi, I almost don't see a whole lot of things that it would be eligible for. So that's why we really have to comb through the project list to make sure that we can do it.
Well,
Anything else, Laura?
Yes, there is. The reason I bring that up is I realize that there's other eligible expenses that you can use it on, one of them being some type of rent abatement, excuse me. So I'm just curious. So I guess you answered my question. You haven't decided yet exactly where you're going to put the money, but once that's decided, it would be good to be able to see the breakdown on the expenditures. The other comment I wanted to make that, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I do want to say it for the record, these grants only partially cover the cost, and the residents need to pay the remaining capital cost of $3.9 million. And that'll be recovered through a special assessment and a lien to these residents of $357 a year for the next 25 years. Correct. Now, these 700 properties will also need to pay thousands more to connect to the new line. So my point is, I urge that this project should not be rushed, and residents should be made aware of all the details before the council votes on this project. We've already heard from several residents this evening that are getting their letters from Durham, and they're coming up on their 10-year expiration. So I think it would be very beneficial that everyone is really made aware that they will be forced to connect unless you're able to get an unlimited waiver, which of course we hope you do. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, the last question on this topic: how will the council assure the residents that a fair and equitable assessment has been made for all of the residents, since some years ago water lines, and in many cases meters, were supplied to a very large number of Pinecrest residents without a special assessment?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I don't understand the question. So go ahead, Yossi.
She's asking about the fairness and how we establish that what we're proposing or what council's considering is appropriate. And to answer her question, as a process, the legal process to establishing a special assessment district requires a study be conducted, and that is part of the council's agenda, a support documentation for tonight. And that's done through a third-party consultant that reviews the issue and then makes a determination as to it checks off the legal requirements for a special assessment district. And so there's very rigid requirements that are established in the state statutes. And I think Lori or Chad, I'm sure, can chime into the process and give a little more legal confirmation of what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Anything else?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, the next registered speaker was George Beffler, but he's also not on the call. So I'm going to move on to the next registered speaker, which is Mark Dresnick.
Hi, Mark. How are you? I don't see you. He has not arrived, Guido.
He's on there, but he's just
Oh,
not.
is he?
Can't hear
Okay. Mr. Dresnick?
For some reason, he's not on mute, but we're not hearing him. Now he put himself on mute.
There he goes. He's on mute. Now he's chat. Oh, no.
There he goes. Like we could see
There he
him.
goes.
Now we just have to get him to unmute, Mr. Dresnick.
Hey, Mark. Unmute. There we go.
There you
How
go.
are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Good to see you.
Good to see all of you. And you want me to talk? Are you ready for me?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor and commissioners, thank you very much. I very much appreciate everything that the commission has been doing on this. I strongly support this resolution. I am agreeable to the special assessment. I am on well water. I've been a resident, and let me give my address. It's 6041 Southwest 102nd Street. My wife and I built this house, and we have lived here for over 30 years. In response to some of the other people, I just want to bring something up, which is that I have always been for public water. Anytime I've been asked, I've always said that's what I wanted. For some reason, I didn't get public water, and other people did. This is a great opportunity that's going to bring it to me. As others have mentioned, the people that did get public water didn't have to pay a special assessment. That's fine. I'll pay the special assessment. Public water is that important to me and my family. So for the people that are the naysayers that talk about the fact that this benefits only 700 people or 700 homes, we need to remember the history, which is, while I was here for 30 years, other people, and it didn't happen 30 years ago, I guess it happened about 20 years ago, I saw the pipes go down in my neighborhood. And lots of people got the water, but my family did not. I'm not sure why I didn't get the water. It wasn't fair to me. This is now an opportunity for it to be fair to me and fair to the other hundreds of people who were somehow precluded from getting the water when it was funded earlier by other sources. So now that the federal government has allowed or granted this money to Pinecrest, this is a fabulous opportunity. I am definitely in support of it. And also, as I know you heard from previous meetings, and it doesn't, I know you're all convinced, as you should be, that this is a public health and safety issue. It is not just people who want water. This is a public health issue. The fire hydrants, it's a public safety issue to the community. It's going to help the entire community, and it will provide fairness so that those people who have been living here and didn't get water when others did will now get the water. And so I very much support this resolution, and I thank you for all the efforts that all the commissioners and the mayor are doing to move this forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the comments. We very much appreciate that. Good to see you. Guido?
Mr.
Who's
Mayor,
our
your
next
next,
contestant?
the next two registered speakers, Alexander Amazon and Becky Metcalf, are also not on the call. So we'll go to the next person, which is Mr. Hanley.
All right. Andrew, are you there? There you go.
I am. How are you?
Good to see you.
Very simply, I'm one of the disadvantaged minority who don't have access to public water. And I feel in a simple way that safe drinking water is essential to life. I happen to be a physician, so I think that's a simple thing that even a physician doesn't need to understand. I think there's a myth that well water is safe. I don't think, like many of the speakers have gone before me, that you can entirely depend on the safety of well water. I'm delighted with the ability that this has come up to provide my house with access to water. I think fire hydrants, You certainly can't go wrong having an extra one, you know? I mean, where can you go wrong having an extra fire hydrant? Although you did have a referendum in which I did appreciate, I was not surprised by the outcome because I've never seen a democratic society where the haves gives to the haves not and pay for it. So I do appreciate your efforts to have that happen, but I wasn't surprised by the outcome. But right now, there's an ad on TV I think you're all familiar with where Shaq is on a court and some kid has to picking out. It's a banking ad and its basic message is, this isn't even a choice, this is an idea. The choice and idea here is very simple. Somebody's giving you a ton of money to spend. You don't have anything else useful to spend it on, and you have a great place to spend it. So not only do I support it because safe water is essential to life, not only do I agree with the fact that I feel disadvantaged and a little peeved that I have to pay when others didn't, but like all the previous speakers, I'm delighted to pay. I would access the water system right away. And I just want to thank you all. And I really hope you push this forward. And a short story, which will bring this home, and it's an unfortunate story, is that I had a pet dog for many years in my backyard who would drink regular water and occasionally would drink pool water. And the dog lived quite a while, but died of leukemia. And dog leukemia is very rare. And most likely it was because I, unfortunately, as the dog owner, despite my love of the dog, allowed it to intermittently drink pool water because contaminants only need to be very minuscule, but if applied to a body over a long period of time, they do go into fatty tissues like bone marrows and brains, and they do cause neoplasms. And unfortunately, I learned this the hard way. The good news is I haven't trusted well water since I moved here. So my own children have been drinking a 5-gallon drum underneath the kitchen sink. I'm glad I didn't make the mistake with my family that I obviously intermittently and ignorantly made with my pet dog. That being said, we all see the community. Somebody mentioned it. There's spraying to kill this. There's spraying to kill that. Pools leak into the system. So if anybody really wants to tell us that the well water is safe and that they want to trust filters, I don't. So thank you very much. Supported it unanimously. Delighted that it's coming. And absolutely no problem paying for it. I would prefer the 25-year mechanism, but if it's decided for the other mechanism, I'm cool with that too. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Great comments. Thank you. Next contestant.
Next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Amy Baxter.
Welcome, Amy. Amy, you're muted.
Oh.
There you go. Gotcha.
Whoop, that's me. Whoops.
Freaking out.
Whoopsie. Hang on. I'm sorry about that. Let me move.
All right. Look, I don't know what the heck's going on there, but looks fun.
I had the green.
We'll be over. We'll be over in an hour.
Oh, this is embarrassing. I'm just gonna stay here.
All right, that's good.
Okay, I'm just gonna stay here. Mr. Mayor and Council, it's great to have this opportunity to speak. Amy Baxter at 7240 Southwest 105th Terrace, been my family home for 45 years. So back in 1976, we had sprinklers, no problem. I don't recall one hurricane. I don't recall storms coming through, power outages to go out. So I'm going to speak in my personal experience after being in this home and knowing every little dent, crack, sound, everything. And if there's a slight gust of wind, the power goes out. I've had to get a generator. That's one expense to deal with power outages and not being able to flush a toilet because we're on a well, run any water. And basically up in the 70s, from the 70s and into the 80s, no problems. And then you have Hurricane Andrew in 1993, and there we were borrowing our friends' pool water by the buckets and gallons to just bathe and flush the toilets. Very antiquated, but we manned up. We got it done. We survived it. So then I was here in 96 when it became a village, the village of Pinecrest. It's a community. And I just don't understand the pushback for what I think is just the resounding cost. There's a price to pay to have luxury, and then there's a small cost to pay to have water. If I run my generator at half load, 3,000 watts, that gets me my refrigerator, freezer, maybe I can run the pump because that generates a lot. A couple outlets, a small little fan, etc. 3,000 watts. I spend, for the cost of this assessment, I spend that within a couple of days of running the generator, and that's not even at full load. That's just 2 days. So between treating the water with the softener, because my glasses are just disgustingly spotted, that treats a symptom, not the problem. The taste has gotten worse over time. I remember about 2007, we had a meeting at Evelyn Greer Park on this water issue. And I remember hearing the proposal was about 10 grand. And I remember thinking, oh, there's no way I'm going to spend that. $10,000? The water tastes fine. Well, that was 2007. So here we are, 2015. I need to test the water. It tastes horrible. I have to treat it with the softener. I have the expense of a generator. I buy 5 gallons of water, of Zephyr Hills water or crystal water, because the water just tastes horrible. And when it comes down to spending money, it's worth the assessment, it's worth the connection to know that if the power goes out, and that is the big rub right there, if the power goes out, you don't have water. The well just doesn't take care of it. I had a guest here this past weekend, and we had that storm, as you all know, Sunday, right? It was Sunday night. And she said, oh, I hope you don't lose power, because she was here during Hurricane Andrew. And I thought, yep, because that's just what happens. So we don't have a solution for underground power in the village of Pinecrest, but it's a village and it's a small community that we can just get this taken care of and know that we can all have running water and fire hydrants. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Great, it was nice to see you. Thank you very much. Guido?
The last speaker on this item, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Ennicus.
Mr. Ennicus, welcome aboard. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Hi, Mayor. How are you doing?
Doing great. What's up? What do you want to talk
Everything
about?
is good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate you, Mayor. All the work you have done. I am really fascinated about how you're running this meeting. It's one of the best run meeting I ever seen. So how you actually framed the whole discussion. I really appreciate it, actually, your leadership. I really actually also wanted to thank you for Vice Mayor Duckraft, who was always pushing for finishing our fire hydrant infrastructure. And we know that even if just building the current fire hydrants, we have to build the 95% of the lines, which actually provide water for the community. Also, I'm really thankful for Anna Okammer, who really said, okay, here is an opportunity to solve it. Let's use all of our money for actually solve this solution. And I really appreciated that. But I'm not expecting. And also really thankful for Katie Abbott, who she really worked hard and make sure understanding the issues what we have around the water. And I think the biggest piece, and also Shannon Del Prado, which she also really understand that problem and work on it to make sure bring a conclusion for this issue. For me, is really why we're really facing this problem is really very Pinecrest-like. Pinecrest was founded on and it actually is on the DNA that because Pinecrest would not be founded if county would take care of us. They didn't. So I think that was our basic foundational drives to we take care of ourselves and provide appropriate service. And I think all of our founding mayors, Evelyn Greer and Mayor Gary Matson, actually saw that, and that's the reason they actually supported the Building Better Communities bond, which actually tried to bring water to the rest of Pinecrest. And when I discussed this with Bob Ross about how you actually selected, okay, which homes you're going to get water and which is not, you actually made a survey, and based on the survey was, majority of people wanted water, but you have to make a decision who get water, and you actually made a decision not politically, but engineering wise, to build the arteries, to build everything, what will enable us to actually build the rest of the infrastructure. So you actually did a foundational work back then, which was the right thing to do. And I understand Mr. Greenberg frustration why he didn't get the water. And the reason is he didn't get the water because he was not an arteries, and it was not the way actually the system designed. So I think you made a very technical solution back then to create the foundation for the future. And the future is now, future is today. So enable us to finish this infrastructure. And I think you mayor, after the water vote, you actually said the people have spoken. And there was a fundamental thing which actually happened of that water vote, because we had 3 districts in Pinecrest where everybody had water and nobody had. And 23% of those people over there still voted actually to support, and they were very unselfish to support such initiative. But based on this information, we really can actually calculate it that 92% of the people who didn't have water and voted, which is 55% of those people actually voted, they supported, and they're willing to pay for it, even if other people got it free. I think that's kind of give you a very good fundamentals to make this assessment, because we want to make sure that we finish it up. I mean, one more thing is, during this assessment, I think some other people say that the numbers are changing. We really, and I know that I really would like to commend the village manager, how she put everything together, because she has to work with the county antiquated systems, which doesn't provide the appropriate data. So you have the GIS information system about which house in and which house is now out is not always correct. So I think she wanted to make sure that all the numbers, end of the day, all the households and assessment is done properly. So, and during this assessment, I understand it's $7.5 million as is proposed currently, has been proposed to this assessment, and we the people going to pay on this term $6.3 million, including the financing cost of this solution. So I think is a good compromise, let's say. I would like to kind of bring your attention on a potential additional project you may want to consider. And this is really about that we shouldn't leave anybody behind, and especially in this water situation. I'm not focused on on the people who already had, according to the country per se, they actually have water or access to water. But some of those people who really have water, it is extremely difficult to actually get. They don't have water meters, okay? So some of those houses, they actually want to connect, but they don't have water meters. And sometimes they actually have to cross a major road, cutting through everything to get to the fire hydrant, install everything, all of those situations, and bring their water on their houses. So I would like to recommend the council to create or allocate some of those funds, create let's say from the additional $1 million, which is proposed to set aside for the project, have a couple of $100,000 as earmark to see there is that the situation in those households, which is in a very difficult position because they never really get a water meter installed. Under this project, whenever the village did something, you always did correctly. So you put the water meter in and everything else. So I just wanted to make sure you consider that, to make sure that we don't leave some people behind in a horrible situation, because it's extremely difficult for them to connect, and came up with the structure. They also pay 60 to 40 or 35 to 675. 65%, and they actually bring them that at least the water meter on their houses. So they can connect. And maybe it's not affordable to do it for everybody, but those cases where you actually have to cross a major road and build a line over there, that's in such a cases, you may want to consider that. And in this case, add it to this project to help those people who are in such a situation. I know personally at least 4 houses like this, but I'm not claiming I know all the situation which such a thing can actually happen. Thank you, and I am dropping the mic. Okay, I'm the last person.
Thank you, Daniel. Well said.
Thank
you.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Clerk, anybody left in the waiting room?
Not on this item, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. So we concluded that, and it's educational for everybody here. So let's take the next step. I guess what we're looking for, I guess to cut to the chase, does anybody hate the proposal on the table so much that they wouldn't vote for it? And if so, would you modify it at all? Is there anybody who would make a motion for the proposal that's on the table?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Anybody?
Third, fourth, fifth.
I think it's fair. I think this is, I'm sorry, Anna, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I was just going to say it's not a new topic. It's a topic we've been grappling with for 25 years. And the final piece to the puzzle was a very unexpected windfall, very narrowly delineated by the federal government. And we're very, very close to the finish line. And this is a tremendous opportunity for everyone to have just a little bit of skin in the game to get this long-term infrastructure shortfall cured, and in a very, very quick period of time, because the money needs to be spent by December 2024. So no matter how you look at this solution, if the objective is to solve the problem once and for all, and to find a way to get us there, this one checks all the boxes. So as it stands right now, I'm in tremendous support of the project conceptually. I have enough understanding of the numbers that we're using to narrow down more or less the total cost, the assessment that we're looking at for the homes that are affected. I'm confident that over the next few weeks, as all of these numbers come in, the final number of the assessment, the final numbers on the total cost of the project, and the final numbers on what's coming to us from the feds through the American Rescue Plan are going to be in alignment with our estimates. It's foundationally a strong solution, and I would strongly recommend we proceed.
I have a question, Yossi. Once we approve this resolution, these are the final numbers, right? We're going to say this is the village's commitment, this is the neighbor's commitment, this is the interest rate, and then you're going to take that to the impacted homeowners, do a workshop, and then they'll come at first reading, right? But this is the package that they will be educating themselves from.
Right. This isn't it's the initial assessment. It's based on presumptions for interest rates that we anticipate will hold steady for the short term. Lori, if you can go over the next steps of how everything would work from a legal standpoint and from the final assessment, how we have a prepayment period, and just go over the logistics of all of that.
This initial package is what we said, Yossi said, it encompasses the framework for everything. And what if you pass this tonight, the next step would be to advertise for the next assessment resolution, which you would adopt after a public hearing, the assessment roll. Notices will go out to each one of the affected property owners that were listed in the resolution on Exhibit B, I believe. And then public notice will also go out in the newspaper. At the June meeting, we would hold the public hearing, and then we would consider the final assessment resolution. After that, the next resolution to be done in June is actually more of a formality to get these assessments on the non-ad valorem, ad valorem tax roll. So it would be collected instead of by bills sent by Pinecrest. It would be actually collected by the tax collector on the tax bills starting in November 22.
So the issue is we would approve the resolution, notice the people, first reading in May, second reading in June. The numbers could change between now and June.
No, numbers can change between now and May. The June public hearing is just to put it on the tax bill. The
second reading in June.
It's really a separate reading on a separate resolution. This resolution only needs one reading.
So there's
But
one
there's two
reading on the
public hearings.
initial, which is today, the initial
Right.
assessment, you establish that. That kicks off the notification process where we have to put ads in the paper, send letters to all the properties. Then there's a second, the final assessment resolution that you'll consider at the May meeting.
Right.
And at the June meeting is when you would take
Vote to put it on the tax bill.
put it on the tax bill.
But there is an ability, because this isn't going to be on the tax bill till 2022. If you find that you have a number of changes or big prepayments before it gets on the tax bill, then you can have what we do, an annual assessment resolution that can take into consideration all the prepayments that are done. And that would be done during your budget workshop, basically, or your budget hearings.
And then we could make adjustments accordingly. So if a lot of people, we think that around 20%, 25% of the people will likely pay ahead of time, pay lump sum, that will have a positive impact on the rest of the money that we would have to borrow. And so those assessments can be adjusted accordingly, and it'll be adjusted downward. So there's a lot of little moving parts. We figure that the people will have about a year to maybe a year and 3 months to be able to pay the full amount if that's what they want to do. And we would obviously encourage that because ultimately that will bring down costs, long-term costs, because you don't have to finance such a large amount of money over the same amount of time.
What you're establishing at the next public hearing is the maximum special assessment.
Got it. Thank you very much. I got you. I was concerned that it could go up, but all right.
No.
So Joe,
Hold on. Let me get Doug. Please, Doug, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate that you had mentioned earlier, and if anybody's chiming in now, that they don't miss that there's going to be a workshop with the manager on this topic. So those people that we've all been getting emails for that are still asking questions, and some of them can very easily be answered, that people seem to still be misinformed and not, they don't know how the system works exactly, or the numbers, and why they have to hook up and when they don't have to. All those questions will be answered. So I know we mentioned that there's going to be a first reading and a second reading, but I think the most important is that there will be a workshop, and obviously anybody can reach out to the city. Everyone knows what's going on, and all those questions can be answered.
Right, and we did create a frequently asked questions page on our website, which we'll keep updating as we get questions. If council gets any questions between now and then, if you forward it to us, we'll build those answers into the FAQs on the website. And that notice that's going to go to all the properties, we'll set up a day specific for a town hall. And I'll just sit and answer questions, kind of like what I do with the budget workshop. I'll address.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work very well. I mean, this behaved more like a town hall than than a regular council meeting. but I think we need to answer some of those questions. All right, Doug, is there any, you're good with this? This isn't, nothing you would change in it?
Well, I mean, it's the resolution. We have to keep moving forward. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, move it forward. And like I said, the workshop will have a lot of, our management will be able to answer a lot of those questions.
Right.
I've got a lot of the emails, and I think a lot of the council members have seen that, boy, these still people out there that are misinformed or just don't quite know exactly how this is going to work,
Right.
including the assessments. You know, some people think that everybody's getting assessed.
Right. Katie, what do you think?
I'm just giddy. I feel like, kind of like COVID, there's an end in sight for this water project that we've been working on for 25 years. And it's, it's a situation where we all know that there's not going to be total winners and total losers, and that's just never going to change. So let's just, we're given this opportunity. It doesn't even have a match. We don't even have to match it with our own funds, which is a gift in itself. And I think the time is right to do it.
Yep, I agree. Shannon?
Well, I'd like to mention,
Doug, go ahead.
so real quick before Shannon starts, is that I constantly work every week in the city on people's homes that have, like Katie said, winners and losers. And there's dozens of people I know in the last couple of years that have spent on, not because they wanted to, because the county rule made them put in a fire hydrant and water, just because finally, after years and years, they got to remodel their home. And let me be clear on that. It might just be that you remodeled your home a certain percentage. Forget the developer that built a new home. It might just be that they remodeled their home and they were forced by the county to put in water mains and fire hydrants anywhere up to $100,000. Boy, would that be a knock to anybody if you knew you just wanted to remodel your kitchen and you put on a new roof and build an addition. And now the county comes and says, oh, by the way, you got to put in $100,000 worth of hydrants and water lines. And people are doing that all the time in Pinecrest, all the time. So,
Well, this would be an end to that, right? Think about
yep.
that and think about us never, ever having to have this conversation again.
I'm giddy. Shannon, what do you think?
I just want to echo what Mr. Dresnick said. These are homes that have been passed over time and time again, and we have the chance to rectify that today, and I'm very excited to be part of it, and I'd say let's do it.
Perfect. All right, I am, like I said, I'm giddy in a sense. I've gone over this a lot for close to 15 years. I don't think we've ever been here before at this point in time, where one little step for the council, one giant leap by Pinecrest, in the sense we're now going to jump all the way back into the 20th century with actual water. And it's kind of controversial too. So my concerns were, can we spread this around enough so that it satisfied everybody's needs? And I don't see other projects out there necessarily in $1 million or $1.5 million that we have the opportunity to spend it with the rules on this funding. So I'm comfortable with all this and ready to go. So with that, do we have a motion and a second? Is that right?
I have Councilmember Abbott moving the resolution and a second by Councilmember Hokumer. Is that correct?
I believe so. Okay, so Guido, you'll call the roll.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Del Prado,
Yes.
Councilmember Hokumer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kraft,
Yes.
Mayor Corradino.
Yes. All right.
Motion carries. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, so next steps, Yossi, you're going to send this out. We'll do a workshop. And Guido, is it possible to do an in-person meeting or a hybrid meeting in May for this topic?
I believe so, Mr. Mayor. If you're all comfortable having an in-person meeting, we could have it at Leslie Bow Hall at Greer Park.
Would it be? Is everybody on the council comfortable with that?
Yes.
Is Guido? Would there be the opportunity for those that wanted to participate remotely to continue to do that?
I don't know, Mr. Mayor. We'll have to look into it to see how we would be able to provide an opportunity for remote participation.
Is there, I mean, maybe we can consider the ideas that if they don't want to be there in person, that they can watch it streaming live and then potentially email comments in that can be read if necessary, and we limit the comments to a certain number of words so that, you know, it was within a 2-minute limit on comments. I just want to make sure that we've given everybody the opportunity to make themselves heard on this. Not that we won't have plenty of time between now and then, but again, I just want to cross every T and dot every I, or whatever they say.
Yes, sir. We will certainly stream the meeting, and we can certainly encourage those who, for whatever reason, cannot attend in person to submit comments via email. In fact, we encourage them to do that anyway at any time.
Okay.
But we'll, I'll research the ability to have a remote component, but that's a good fallback if we're not able to do that.
Okay. Either way, we're going to go. We'll work at the details, but the guesstimate now is we'll go full council meeting in a big room and make sure that everybody has the ability to question us face to face. All right. Congratulations, everybody. I think we've done something that I almost never imagined we could get done to this point. Who knows what happens next month? Let's go to tab 15.
Mayor, are we going to go back to the ordinances?
Yes, would you like to go back to your regular order? We had skipped over ordinances.
No, let's just get through the resolutions, then we'll go back to the ordinances and then to the staff or the what you call it, reports and recommendations.
Okay, very good. Next item then, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, establishing an auditor selection committee pursuant to Florida law, providing for a sunset provision, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, we are getting ready to put out the RFP for our auditor. We've come to the end of that contract. State legislature changed the process and now require a audit selection committee to be put in place, which has to have as part of that committee one member of the elected body. So we have found the other 2 members that are listed in section 2 of the resolution, and we would want to have a potentially self-nomination from the council for who might want to sit on this audit selection committee.
I can nominate somebody. It's not me. I'm staring at you right now.
Anna gave you the stink eye.
What?
I think she's done with audit committees.
But you're so good at it, Anna.
I'm fully active on another audit committee at the moment, and I would prefer to keep my audit activities to one at a time. I'm a one audit committee kind of gal.
All right. Well, who else wants to volunteer for this?
Katie, Doug, or Shannon?
No, I am.
Doug's like, oh.
All right, do we have to do that now?
It's a few meetings? I mean, what does it involve?
It's just a few meetings and they'll be virtual.
No expertise needed?
No, typically what we do when we do these selection committees is that we'll number one, we'll have a draft RFP. You'll review that as a committee, give back feedback to staff. We'll make adjustments to the RFP. The RFP is advertised. You get results back, and then you're going to just score every evaluation. And then depending on that score, then the score will determine who the high ranked firm is. And that's it. So it's really not that involved. It's quite frankly, it's not that difficult, but for whatever reason, they asked for it to be done this way.
I will, Katie, unless you have a burning desire, I will volunteer to do it.
All right.
Thank you for falling on the sword.
Somebody had to do it.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Okay. We have a motion on this.
Yeah.
Guido, no public comment on this one? I'm sure.
There's no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
I'm sorry, who moved the item?
Shannon wants to.
And the second?
Oh, I second, absolutely.
Thank you, Anna.
You got off the hook. All right.
All in favor?
No objections? Okay.
No, we're all in favor.
Okay. Next item then, Mr. Mayor, is a resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, urging the Florida Legislature to oppose House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012 of the 2021 legislative session, banning transgender students from participating in athletics, providing for transmittal, and providing for an effective date. There was a typo in the resolution, and just to correct it for the record, on the last whereas, I'm sorry, on the third to last whereas clause, it should read unconstitutionality instead of constitutionality.
Uh-oh. That changes everything. Now, Anna, do you
And there are two speakers on this item, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Anna, fire away.
All right, so I'm pleased to be able to present this resolution to the council here. And just so that everybody is aware of what these two bills are, they're two bills, one in the House and one in the Senate in the state of Florida, which have been collectively reported on as the trans child sports exclusion bills, although they're particularly onerous on trans girls. What they basically attempt to impose statewide is that your participation in organized sports, kindergarten through 12th grade, be fundamentally determined by some outwardly assigned gender or your genitalia. The Senate bill goes a step further and actually would require that the Olympic style standards for determining gender of participants be applied to children in the state of Florida, kindergarten through 12th grade. In other words, say a middle schooler who wanted to play on the soccer team could be subjected to hormone level tests and the inspection of their genitalia by doctors in order to participate. It's been very clear throughout the entirety of the discussion of these two bills in Tallahassee that the problem that it attempts to address doesn't exist. There have been no recorded issues anywhere in the state of Florida where there's been complaints of an infiltrator attempting to incorrectly participate and in some way hurt another child's future opportunities. And in fact, one of the sponsors of the House bill, when asked specifically whether there were any cases or whether anyone had asked for this bill to be drafted, said no, but we might as well create the bill just in case a problem were to arise, which is a mentality which would then lead us to conclude that we should draft several bills explicitly prohibiting dragons from playing sports in K through 12 in Florida, just in case some appear. It's not a real problem, but it is being used to wave certain political and cultural flags across the country. The Florida High School Sports Association has already had standards in place to deal with children who may be non-gender traditional, non-gender conforming, who may be transgender. The NCAA has long existing standards. The Olympics have standards. So all of the governing bodies that exist already have standards to deal with people who may be somewhat unusual, atraditional, or unique in their self-identification or identity. The other argument in favor of these two bills is that apparently many of the proponents believe that it will protect and champion the rights of girls and young women K through 12 in sports. It's unusual that I would bring a resolution about an issue this broad to the Pinecrest Council to reject these two bills. And I want to explain my reasoning in bringing it to you. And thank you for your patience as I explain. The first is because Pinecrest actually hosts 8,000 kindergarten through 12 students within its borders during the school year. We have one of the largest public high schools in Miami-Dade County within the village of Pinecrest. And in just 2 public elementary schools within Pinecrest, a student enrolled population of almost 2,000 students. That doesn't even count students that are attending lay private schools and religious private schools, preschools, etc. We are a village of schools, and it's our #1 industry. The second reason that I'm bringing it is because I know children right here in Pinecrest who are grappling with issues of gender identity, of being gender nonconforming, of feeling different in their skin. And I know parents of children who are in this situation. The problem that these bills attempts to address is fake, but the children that would be hurt and probably harmed long-term are real. They're real to me because I happen to know them. And I would imagine because we're a small enough town, many of you know these people as well. They're our friends and neighbors. I also know most of the administrators of our local schools who tend to be tremendously compassionate people who would always be looking to find the ideal solution to allow each and every one of the students that they care for at school to live in a dignified way. These bills would not allow them to execute discretion and kindness, caring, and compassion for our friends and neighbors who might need it in a difficult situation. My last objection to these 2 bills is, as someone who's long been a proponent of women and women's causes and who self-identifies as a feminist and happens to be the mother of 3 young girls. I think each and every one of the council members is in fact the parent of at least 1, if not more, daughters. And you know, girls face all kinds of issues in our society, from unequal pay to sexual violence to soft misogyny. All of these are issues that people in government really should be working very hard to address. And I'm concerned about them for my own children. But I find it deeply objectionable for people to co-opt my daughters at the expense of another child's dignity. These bills would not protect my daughters or yours, but they would certainly harm someone else's children. And so for that reason, I'm very proud to bring this resolution, and I hope that the rest of you will join me in voting to oppose these bills. That's it.
Any questions from the council?
No, I just want to applaud you, Anna, for bringing this to us, and I thank you. And you said everything wonderfully. And when I first heard about it, I was appalled that this is even an issue. And unfortunately, it's not just in Florida. It's in, I believe, 20 states right now are trying to do similar bills. And it's, we all know it's hard enough growing up and now in the world we live in and questioning who you are. And the way this bill is it wouldn't only question, girls who some Joe Schmo coach thinks might be too fast or might be too strong. It can be any of our daughters. It could be anybody. I mean, it's just, I thank you for bringing this to us. I agree with you. I oppose it deeply. And I really hope that Florida does not go through with it. As I understand, NCAA was considering pulling out their championships in Florida if this proceeds. So, we're at a point in our history that corporations are now, taking stances. So I'm interested to see what the next steps are. Thank you. I agree with you.
Shannon?
I too salute you, Anna. That was a very nice, very well articulated description. And I'm very proud to support this resolution. Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, I agree. Good work. When I looked into it, I found that it's a non-existent problem that nobody's ever had an issue with, and other levels of sport all have their own rules to deal with things they need to deal with, and this just doesn't exist. So I'm behind it. Doug, you got anything on this one? No, nothing there. Do we have speakers who want to open the public comment, Guido?
There are two representatives from SAVE that are registered to speak, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Hey, Justin.
Thank you, Mr.
Hey,
Mayor.
Angelina.
Super brief. My teammate will give a little more detail, but thank you so much, Councilman Hockhammer. I want to cry, right? Like it's ridiculous that we have to pass a resolution, right? That says don't hurt children, right? You know, and that's really what these bills are doing. So again, thank you so much. I hope everybody votes yes on this. And, Angelina, our public policy intern, is the next speaker, so I will let her do SAVE's spiel. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Angelina Astic. Thank you first off to Mayor Cordino, Vice Mayor Kraft, and the council members for the opportunity to address you this evening. I'm an 11th grade student at Miami Palmetto Senior High School and the public policy intern for SAVE. For those who don't know, SAVE is South Florida's longest serving LGBTQ advocacy organization. I am here today to express our gratitude to Councilwoman Hockhammer for sponsoring this resolution and our strong support for it. House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012 would categorically ban transgender youth from all sex-segregated sports, overriding the wishes of parents and coaches while denying kids the unique opportunities to grow and learn that sports provide. These bills rob children from valuable life lessons. Transgender youth, like all other students, deserve the same chances to learn essential skills like teamwork, sportsmanship, leadership, and self-discipline, and to build a sense of unity with their peers. Transgender students want the opportunity to play sports for the same reason other students do, to be a part of a team where they feel like they belong. We should not discriminate against any student by banning them from playing sports just because they are transgender. Tonight, by passing this resolution, you are not only sending the message to Florida legislature that this is an inherently bad policy, you are sending a clear message to transgender students that they are seen, that they are valued, and that you want them to have all the same opportunities that are granted to their peers. With that, I respectfully ask that you please vote yes on the resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, Guido?
No, sir.
All right, do we have a motion? Mr. Prado and Ms. Hockhammer. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, let's next go to tab 17.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, a resolution of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, designating the future park site at 6610 Kendall Drive as the Gary C. Matzner Park in recognition of contributions as the village's co-founder, providing for the erection of appropriate markers, providing for an effective date.
Great. I think we should be particularly proud of this resolution. This is a long time coming, and without the wisdom, foresight, and courage that Gary displayed along with Evelyn, Pinecrest wouldn't have incorporated, and we wouldn't be here today. I think that I actually served with Gary for a couple of years on the council when, you know, I actually watched the video that Guido put on, as everybody else did, with Evelyn Greer. And those guys did some real heavy lifting, not only to incorporate the village, but to form the initial government and get us to the point where we are today. And I'm extremely proud to have been just a small part of this. But Gary is a pillar and a foundation, and I'm really proud of him and proud that we could do this for him. Is there any? So you know, it's good. I'm really happy about this. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Great. And a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody else? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. We got it. We got it done. Okay, let's go back. Where are we, Guido? Ordinances, and then we'll go to the reports and recommendations. Tab 11, I think we are.
Yes, sir. That's on first reading, an ordinance of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, amending the 2020-2021 operating and capital outlay budget for the second quarter, providing for an effective date. There is a speaker registered on this item, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, good. All right. Yossi?
This would be the second quarter budget amendments. If there's any questions, the biggest issue or amendment that's on here is listed is the Palermo property acquisition, now Gary Matzner Park acquisition. As you recall, at the time that we adopted our budget, we were not aware yet that we were going to be making that purchase. So we, in fact, approved the issuance of the bank loan for the purposes of acquiring that property and closed on that property earlier this month. So we are now the proud owners of Gary Matzner Park officially. And this amendment, that one in particular, is just making the necessary changes to the budget that would allow the acceptance of the funds from the bank loan that we already have approved, that council already authorized and approved, and then the expenditure, which is actually already happened. So it's an after the fact budget amendment. The other ones are pretty clear. You have the audio visual equipment for council meetings. That was something also not anticipated that council asked for as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and the changes we've had to make to our meetings. Repairs to floors at the community center. We had a leak that was caused when they redid the roof that damaged the flooring. And so we have to make an amendment to allow for the new revenue from the insurance proceeds and then the expenditure for the actual repairs to that floor. The ADA sidewalk project is providing for the acceptance of the grant from the Land Water Conservation Fund for that lower garden ADA improvements to the sidewalk in Pinecrest Gardens. And then repayment of a transfer of cash to the CITT operations. Last year, because of the pandemic, we had to eat into a little more of the CITT than we had anticipated because we had to pay for a freebie when we were using it for the food service as opposed to using the grant monies because the grant wouldn't cover when we weren't transporting people. So that was a shortfall that we have to correct. And then the final is a correction to a staff error that they duplicated a particular charge to the CITT. So we're transferring the money back into the transportation fund. And that was just done in error.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Guido, we have people from the public that would like to speak.
You have one speaker, Mr. Mayor, Ms. McNaughton.
Hey, Laura, how are you doing?
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again. So I'm just going to read a statement, so I'm sure it'll save some time. The council is voting today for an additional bond to be issued for more capital projects, including the purchase of the Palermo property. In prior council meetings, the property was originally designated to be an open green space, but tonight the council has voted to name it Gary Matzner Park after our second mayor. The naming of the park should be kept Palermo Park, but I realize that you voted on it already. While green spaces, green open spaces, are part of the Pinecrest lifestyle, it is troubling that the purchase is made requiring more debt with an amendment to our finalized budget. In our finalized budget, new debt was issued and millions of dollars are being spent on capital expenditures at the gardens that unnecessarily continue to increase its overhead, such as a petting zoo with a new building and animals to care for. This is a service that can easily be offered by a third party. Parks are meant to be a benefit to the community and not generate revenue, but there is a responsibility by this council to not create unnecessary burdens with our tax dollars. I recently asked the village manager to confirm when she anticipates to write off the over $1.5 million of unpaid claims made to FEMA after Hurricane Irma that are still under appeal. Considering that it's been over 3 years, the council needs to plan that there is the possibility of losing the appeal and the possible arbitration, which will affect our reserves by this amount. Council has been discussing the levels of cash reserves it would like to maintain for catastrophic and unforeseen events, which can only be achieved by either spending less money or by increasing our taxes. Since we continue to see excessive spending and a possible write-off affecting our reserves, we can foresee that an increase in taxes will eventually surface. I ask the council to stop their unnecessary and burdensome spending with our tax dollars. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura. Yossi, would you like to answer to that? I found it to be misinformed, erroneous, and unduly insightful. She's trying to incite a riot here. Can you answer those questions? We have no necessarily more debt than we've had before. We have a strategic planning process that we go through every year. We just lowered taxes last year. We are fiscally conservative and fiscally sound. And when you're that wrong, I think we got to poke back at it. Is there anything you can answer, or should we answer that at the next meeting?
Well, I can answer it just for the record, so that if the folks that are listening in, the council is not issuing debt tonight. You all did already issue debt. That occurred. That decision was made in March to issue debt for the acquisition of Gary Massner Park. And in February, council approved the issuance of the $8 million bond, which was replacing a bond that was retiring. So the effect on the budget from a financial perspective for the reissuance of the $8 million bond for the improvements to the Upper Garden had zero impact. It was neutral, because we were replacing a debt that we were retiring with a new debt that we issued. So the debt service payment, the annual debt service payment, in essence, was a wash. So that didn't have any impact that was already, wasn't already built into the budget, and when we adopted it back in October. So the one purchase that was not in the budget was the purchase of the Palermo property. And council does have a long-range strategic plan that looks to opportunities to purchase parkland. And this, as council agreed, was a very unique opportunity for our large parcel of land that was not typical that we would have an opportunity like this. So council went ahead and decided that this was the right time to go ahead and make that acquisition. And we anticipate, because of the way that we are structuring the issuance of bonds for that particular acquisition to reimburse the village, that the first debt service payment for that will not hit the budget till the second part of fiscal year next year. And so we already, based on our revenue projections for the year, feel comfortable that that too will be able to be absorbed with the existing millage structure that we have at the village. There was also comment about new amenities with the Upper Garden. I just, for the record, want to state the petting zoo has existed at the gardens since our acquisition of the gardens, and for 30 years prior to that, there was obviously, we had over 300 animals at Pinecrest Gardens when it was Parrot Jungle. And when we purchased that, we acquired that property with a petting zoo. So the Upper Garden project, in essence, is replacing aging playground structure and providing for housing for the animals that we already have had and have been providing as an amenity at the park since we purchased the property. So that's not a new amenity. The only new amenity that's being built by the Upper Garden project is the Inspiration Center building, which is going to be environmental education multi-purpose room that was added to the facility. But other than that, all the other amenities that are being built in the Upper Garden project is basically replacing old with new.
Yeah, typically what we do, right, is we've incurred debt over the years. We wait to retire that debt, and then we reissue new debt for projects that have come up through our strategic planning process. And we start our strategic planning process in January of every year, and things don't necessarily just appear in the budget. They typically take years to get vetted through the strategic planning process. And when they're right to be implemented, then they make the budget. And the council's job is to be really fiscally conservative about that. I think we have done that in throughout our history. We run a very lean, very small government, no frills type of thing. And I think that we should be very proud of it. And you know what? When it's time to raise taxes, and we have to, we will. And when it's time to cut taxes like we did last year, we will. The people of Pinecrest demand services, and we provide them at certainly the most efficient and effective rate that we can, not like other governments that want to provide the lowest quality of service that people can actually tolerate. There are other cities nearby that you can go to that does that. Pinecrest isn't one of them, and that's why our property values are what they are, and we're known throughout the state. So I think we should be proud of ourselves for the way we've handled ourselves over the years fiscally. All right.
So on the FEMA question, Mayor, I just wanted to give an update to the council since we're on the topic. We did make a mention in Westlaw because of our win with the FEMA case. So again, kudos to our awesome village attorney. And we're just awaiting on the results of the determination for the FEMA appeal. We're supposed to get a result by May, and barring any issue, I'm hopeful that this will be put behind us. But for the record, I know of cities that have been fighting. There are still people fighting over Katrina funds. So issues that deal with the federal government and the expenditure of FEMA reimbursable projects can go on for years, and that's just part of doing business and with the federal government. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So we will continue to endeavor to get every penny that we feel is deserving and eligible for reimbursement to the village until we've exhausted every possible recourse with the federal government.
All right, do we have a motion on this?
I'll move.
And a second.
I second.
All right, Guido, you got to call it, right?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Del Prado,
Yes.
Councilmember Hokumer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kraft,
Yes.
Mayor Cordino.
Yes.
Motion carries. This ordinance will be on second reading on May 11th. Your next item, Mr. Mayor, is on second reading, an ordinance of the Village of Pinecrest, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances to create a new article entitled Fertilizer Use, providing for penalties, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, codification, and an effective date. I believe that the attorney or Councilmember Abbott are going to ask for deferral on this item.
I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting, and I apologize, and I hope nobody waited around to speak on this item. Councilmember Abbott is the sponsor of this item. She and I discussed this earlier in the week. The situation with the county makes it very difficult to draft an ordinance to anticipate exactly what will happen with the county ordinance. The county ordinance as drafted has several floors that the ordinance, our ordinance as drafted, does not exceed. So under the way the county ordinance is drafted now, it would preempt our ordinance. So we've decided that we should probably wait until the county completes its process and adopts its ordinance so that we can draft around it and exceed their measures if that's allowed and if that is something that's suitable to the village. We can do that. But as it stands now, I think that if we passed it tonight, in 4 weeks, the county would complete the process of its second reading, and then our ordinance would potentially be obsolete and we'd have to start over.
All right.
I agree. Thank you, Mitch.
All right, we'll take it up when we take it up.
So
Okay.
a motion to defer the item to no date certain is in order.
I move.
Second.
Shannon seconds. Okay. Keita?
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Del Prado,
Yes.
Councilmember Hokumer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kraft,
Yes.
Mayor Cordino.
Yes.
The item is deferred.
All right, reports and recommendations. Village Council, I got nothing. Village Manager. All right, just the way we like to hear it.
Oh, Joe, what's with I heard the 136th Street is.
Ask her.
Yeah.
She's.
Let me get my computer.
Doug wants to ask you a question. Yes.
Okay.
His computer's run out of batteries.
Yeah, sorry, I was charging.
Okay. 136th Street, what are you asking?
Yes, you heard me.
Yeah. What do
I
you?
heard there's plans.
Yes, there's plans. The follow-up report tells us the dates that they've told us. I think they start on the shared use path in July, and that by September, they're supposed to be starting the bridge.
Ooh, perfect. Right in
September.
September. Right when school starts.
Well, what?
I know. Don't ask me. No, I'm not the decision maker on that one.
Okay.
All right.
We did ask them, don't do it during school. And they said, okay. And they do it right when school starts. Perfect. Right when everybody goes back to school. They only had a year and several months to do it during school when nobody was in school. Go ahead, Anna. I'm frustrated.
I share your frustration. Last time we talked about this, we asked for staff to contact the county and at least verbally commit to giving us 2 weeks notice for the drop on when they're going to close off the bridge so that we could have the opportunity to communicate that this was coming to people. Has that conversation happened? Has anyone proffered?
Yeah, we've already contacted the county and advised that we would like to have that notification. So, you know, as the project progresses, if we know that they're sticking to their timeframes, then we'll do that and we'll get the word out. We can put some signs up ahead of time so people know it's coming.
Okay.
And we could also put something in the sun just to give that the time frame. We can actually make the June sun where we give people a heads up in that meeting. So the timing is perfect to put something out in people's mailboxes.
Well, if they're doing it in September.
That's the time frame, but like everything else, anything that happens, if you have a hurricane or whatever, something can push it back. So we kind of
No,
wait.
they should just, if they're gonna do it in December or September, they should just do it the first day of school.
Yeah.
Mess everything up.
Right. So I'll make a
Give them
note.
the
to
date,
also
give the
add it
county
to
the first day of school, the day. Anna knows, and she always knows those school dates.
Right.
I've completely given up, Doug. We'll talk next year. This is COVID school. I don't know.
All right, what else you got, Yossi?
I have asking for a grant to the Friends of Pinecrest Gardens to start their official, coffers. So I was going to recommend that we do a transfer of $5,000 to the Friends of Pinecrest organization, and that'll be for their incidental expenditures.
How are we gonna pay for this? We gotta take a loan.
Council has that community grant.
Right, I understand.
And that we haven't used all.
I think we have slightly over $10,000 left in that line item based on Marie's report.
And then we're gonna be taking out
5 for Special Olympics.
correct. And
How
now
much does Friends of Pinecrest Gardens need?
I was gonna ask for 5 additional for them.
Okay.
What's the football grant we haven't talked about?
Yeah, there's a football thing, right?
Yossi, is that the
That
boost?
was Linda, right? They wanted to for food. Was that the food?
Yeah, that's the food grant. We started giving the football boosters our wonderful, what was it? State semifinal champion football team, which is such an expensive but fabulous program, a grant starting last year. Because one of the things that the boosters do is feed the kids. And I think they're going to have something like $13,000 worth of food expenses this year. And so in the past, we've given them $2,000 to help with their food expenses. If we've used up the grant line item, I did happen to notice that in the report, we have $5,000 in our council travel for this fiscal year, and we've used 99 of it. So maybe we could move $2,000 if we're all in agreement from our council travel line item into grants and spend the money that way.
I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, I was going to Paris.
Oh, yeah, that's our sister city. No, that's not. Paris is
Cognac.
Cognac.
$800 in the last 7 years, so don't plan on me going nowhere.
Okay, so 5,000 for Friends and 2,000 for Miami Palmetto Senior. Everybody okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. And let me see. That was basically the only thing that was left, was trying to set up workshops for the land development regulations for council sometime in April. And I haven't had a chance to finish the strategic plan stuff. So I was working on all the stuff for tonight's meeting, so I'll get that done in the next
Well,
week.
the May meeting would be pretty slow, so we could bring some of that stuff there.
I would just do something maybe for the end of April, as far as a workshop with Steve for the land development regulations.
Yeah. All right, let's think about it. We don't have to decide now, do we?
He wanted you guys to pick a day, any day, just so he would know.
I'm sorry, I missed a day and a date for what?
Land development regulations, to go over the changes that council had at the last workshop. You know, there's all those little.
Yes, how exciting. Okay.
Really, the first week of May, unless we do it before the 21st, the first week of May, I'll be out of town for about a week.
Council money?
No. Taking a loan out the travel.
Yeah.
Have to raise
Yeah, I
taxes.
wanna do.
How's May 4th for everyone? Tuesday, May 4th at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I gotta be I gotta be at a meeting in Fort Lauderdale at 1.
That one
That's
shouldn't
it.
take that long. That meeting shouldn't take more than 2 hours. Because we've talked a lot already about this stuff, so it's just to review the final tweaks and then discuss. He's gonna have the townhouse idea, but he's not gonna be ready with what might happen in like transit hub property kind of things. So he can give a preliminary on the townhouses. But all the other code we can review, and if you're good with that, we can move those changes
All right.
after that discussion. So May 4th from 9 to 11.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
I'll make sure he speaks really quickly.
Who is that?
Who?
Steve.
Oh, okay.
On a related matter, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Abbott has requested if the council would consider moving the date of the October meeting. It is right now tentatively scheduled for the second Tuesday of October, which would be the 12th. I don't know if Councilmember Abbott has any suggestions as to another date.
I'm kindly asking council if they would consider moving it. It doesn't matter to me. I was thinking the 19th, but
Halloween night.
the
No.
19th no, how long is the 31st?
Come on.
What?
Isn't it the 19th this year?
The 12th.
Yeah, I don't care.
There's a trip. There's a race that is going on, and I'm gonna go with my husband, and I could do the meeting virtually, but honestly, I might be a little tired, and if we can move it, then I would be.
Where's the race?
Chicago and Boston.
Oh. That sounds fun.
That's a long ways.
While we're at it.
Chicago
what-
to Boston.
You're going to a race in Chicago and Boston?
Yes,
We could all come to you.
We're doing the Chicago Marathon, and then Mr. Steve is doing the Boston one the very next day, but I'm gonna go with him.
Right. You're like the marathon equivalent of those people who go to school in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking
I go to Harvard.
about. While we're on the subject, anybody, the July meeting is problematic for me. Any interest in moving it from the 13th to the 6th? Well,
I'm sorry.
it's
I'm
not Halloween.
Okay,
Well, I might go.
so we've moved the 12th to the 19th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me post this on my phone here. 12th and 19th. Okay. And what are we moving now?
I'm just asking if anybody minds moving it to the 6th of July, in July.
Oh, now we're looking at the July meeting. The 6th of July would mean that we would have to stay here for the 4th of July.
Oh, okay, never mind. Good point. People are probably tripping on that. Yes, never mind. I'll make do. I may do it remotely. That's okay. We're not gonna have anything to do in July anyway. Never mind. All right, stop. Never mind. I said okay. Quit staring at me like that.
I will, if I may, Mr. Mayor, I will not be present at the July 13th meeting. So Priscilla will probably fill in for me that evening.
All right. Perfect. We will have cured all the problems in Pinecrest by then, so we'll just hang out.
That would be fantastic.
And then we'll meet on Halloween. Okay, Guido, you're done, right?
Yes, sir.
Mitch, anything? All right, Shannon, it's your time to adjourn the meeting, right? We're done, right?
I get your motion to adjourn?
Second.
Jim, if you're
All right.
watching, I hope I did that right.
Yes, he'd be proud of you. All right, guys, thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, Mr. Mayor.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Mitch.